All right, guys, let's start episode 260. That's 260 of the Current Gen podcast. We're just changing things up with the way things look these days. I don't know why. I guess we're going through a midlife crisis, and by we, I mean probably me. But I'm just trying to change things up, trying to see if we can increase the production value, play around with some of these new tools that I'm learning. So I'm always open to feedback, what everyone else thinks works and looks best. And it's also just more fun for us when we can make things
So,
look and sound good.
spoiler alert, you're saying this is our midlife crisis. So does that mean that the end of the show is episode 520? Is that what you're...
That's exactly what that means. Yes.
That's what that
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for mathing
Wow.
for us here. Yeah.
Spoil-
Well,
yes.
it'll no longer be current gen. It'll be last gen.
Last gen. That's right. That's it.
Old Jen.
That's right.
Old Jen.
So
We rebrand. You know?
that's right. But thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you for those of you who do support the channel and watch our little Let's Plays and YouTube Shorts and other little things that we every once in a while will publish throughout the week. Again, we're just doing this for fun. There's zero money being made. If anything, we spend money to maybe try to promote it a little bit, but that's it. Like we're not. This is not for. It's just for fun. My daughter was just asking me today, "What do you guys talk about?" So I was just telling her like it's pretty much all the fun stuff we don't.
Boobs.
That too.
Nope, we don't.
All the fun stuff we.
Don't do that.
I don't say that to my daughter. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah.
All the fun stuff that we can't talk about or don't want to talk about at work or when things are serious. This is kind of our outlet, you know. And so she was like, "Oh, that makes sense." I was like, "Yeah, I'm not getting paid for it, but it's a lot of fun. I'm willing to put work into it."
If I geeked out about this type of stuff at work, they'd probably fire me. They'd be like, "You're not right for this job."
And then everything
didn't
would
know
fall
this
apart,
about you.
Kyle.
Yeah, we didn't. You like it? How much? Nah.
Kyle, please. You
alright.
seem like you like work. You're like a prize over there. It seems because you work. You seem
True.
like you work hard and deal with some stuff. So
You're a catch.
Please
Yeah, you're
go
a
on.
catch.
Yeah,
Please.
you're a catch, buddy. So yeah, that's what we're doing. And she goes, "Oh, is that why you like to play all the new games?" I was like, "Yeah, that's totally why, because of my podcast, not because I have a
yes, right.
hopeless addiction to this hobby. It's not that.
Exactly. No.
Definitely not that. But yeah, anyway, we've got speaking of games, some new games to talk about that came out this week. We're going to revisit our thoughts on Avowed now that more time's been put into it. And probably some other games too that we've already been talking about. But sorry, that's what we're playing, so we're going to talk about it. And then, time permitting, I've got a 20 questions video game version for you guys to wrap things up today. So, and we got some news headlines, some interesting ones, a little bit of a bummer ones, so I'll try to throw in some fun ones, try to keep it light, because, you know, it's one of those weeks where the real life news headlines and the video game headlines weren't the most uplifting. So that's why we talk about video games, okay? That's why. That's
Right. Yes. To drown out all the bullshit
exactly.
of the real world.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So, but let's dive in. Let's talk about Avowed. And I'm going to bring up just some video. I think it's an IGN, like, what is it called? Like a things to know before you play type video. So I'll just have this rolling for us while we chat about it. But
so many bears.
oh, it's presented by
So
Intuit. There you go.
So many bears. I don't know. Like
Plug.
this island has a bear problem, not a mushroom problem.
Yeah. So
Mushroom and bears combined. Bad.
So I've only just fired this game up, didn't put as much time into it as I wanted to for this conversation, but I will say that the intro is more interesting than I thought it would be. So I'm really looking forward to getting to this. I was like, oh, they're taking a different path than than I expected at the beginning. So, but anyway, I have not really experienced too much of it yet. This is your plug for Intuit TurboTax, everybody. Okay.
Nice.
That's what was on the screen in case you're curious. But anyway, I know Kyle, you've been able to put some more time into it. Dan, I don't think you've even installed it, right?
I have, and
Oh,
I'm literally in that beginning area, and I have some
Oh.
things to say. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Why don't you go first, Dan? Yeah, we heard my takes last week.
so the two of you, I'm guessing, are either playing on PC or the Series X, right?
PC.
I'm on the Series X. Yeah.
Okay, and then PC. So I don't know if it's just the game or because I'm playing it on the S. So I've played like an hour ish, and I'm just gonna have to like step away and be like, maybe I'll come back to this and see if they do updates or something.
Oh, is it running poorly?
So first off, and what led me to realizing like, oh, on the Series S, there's no fidelity or performance options. It's just not available. So you're just playing, I guess, I don't know. I don't know what it's automatically defaulting to, but you can't choose.
Mhm.
Because what I was dealing with is the controls, and maybe Kyle, you can confirm if the controls are just kind of wonky in general. But I just cannot find the sweet spot for the controls to feel smooth, like to
Mm.
feel nice. Like the camera is just either being too stiff or it's too that like the in some games are better about it where it lets you like it does that like accelerating thing when you're like turning the analog stick, it like accelerates and you can adjust like that window of how fast it does that or how slow it does that.
Mhm.
And in this game you can do that, but like I literally have it set to 0. Like
Mm.
it's all the way down and
Wow.
it still feels weird. So then I adjusted the analog dead zone and then but it's too low. So it's like kind of like it's taking me forever to turn the camera, but it's like it's
I
still
know
like
exactly what
feels
you're
kind
talking
of
about. Some games
yeah,
defaults are just not right with that.
yeah.
Hmm.
And it just I just can't find the sweet spot for it. So it's just like
Gotcha.
playing it camera wise feels bad, but the actual combat and stuff is cool. So
Mm.
like it's kind of a bummer because I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like it feels good with the axe. You get the axe. There's a guy that you find in this like open area, and you're fighting him. And
Mhm.
it just like the axe, just the way it connects, like feels like you're really like hitting somebody with an axe. Like it feels good, like for a first person, RPG game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that camera is effing me up, man.
Mm.
And also visually looks poo poo, looks very poo poo on the Series S.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have heard that
Okay,
unless you have a high end PC, or I guess the Series X, I've heard it looks okay. But anyway,
Yeah.
I have heard that lower
okay,
end systems in the S, it's not looking amazing. But that's, I don't
yeah.
know. Is that to be expected? In most cases, probably depends on the art style, probably of a game.
It's more noticeable the characters. So well,
Oh, okay.
you meet this little fella in the beginning there, and he looks all right because he's like not human, so he just like looks unique and like it's
Mhm.
fine.
Little
But
furry
you
guy.
Yeah, but you meet a woman and like I'm like, is this like Skyrim when it first released? Like what's going on here? Like it looks not great. So I mean I'm basing this off of literally a character, one singular character. So obviously, that doesn't speak for the whole game, but yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, the Series S version of this, in my opinion, so far is pretty rough. So
Okay.
maybe it just needs some updates, or maybe it's just not ideal for me right now to be playing it. I'm
Do
focusing
you
on
have it
two
on
other
Game
things,
Pass,
which
or did you
obviously
buy
is
it?
Game Pass. Yeah,
Well, couldn't
yes,
you
I
just
downloaded
fire it
Game
up
Pass.
on you? You have a good PC. You could fire it up on there
That's true. I could.
just to see
Yeah,
what it looks like.
and then like compare to see if like, oh, it really is
I'm
just the
just
Series
curious
S
if
that's dumbed
if
down.
your experience is like, oh, okay, the art style is just what isn't looking great to you, or if it's like, yeah, no, it was totally the hardware. This game actually looks pretty. Because I think it
Yeah.
looks okay. It's not best visuals, but it's also not ugly. Some people are calling it ugly. I think that's an over exaggeration.
What do you have it
But
like settings wise? Is it like ultra
yeah,
or
it's
like
pretty maxed
high
out.
or
Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just even when I was creating the character, there was like this like grainy effect
Mm.
to like the way. Okay, so that it did that for you too. Okay, so it's not just.
No, I was just I didn't have a graininess or anything like
Oh,
that.
okay, okay.
It's pretty clear.
Smooth.
It
Looks
is
smooth.
it is a weird art style though, like
That's what
kind of
I'm trying to hint at. Like the art style is kind
yeah.
of not for everybody necessarily, but
Yeah, I would
Right.
definitely say
Yeah.
that there's something, unique about it. But
yeah.
no, I haven't had any grainy or camera
Okay.
issues. This might sound like a Series S thing,
I think
sadly.
it
I
might
That's
be.
what I'm thinking that
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, because
it's like
I'm not offended by the art style. I think like the art like
right, right.
the mushroomy
Or it
stuff
might
is
just be
actually
just the
cool.
way that the Series S is only able to process it. Like you said, there was
Yeah.
no fidelity or performance. I wonder if that's just because like the game's already having enough time keeping
Yeah.
up with itself.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the camera issues could be like it dipping below 30, frames, and you're just like really
Hmm.
feeling like a weirdness to it. The
Hmm.
Series S might just be too dated for some of these games these days. I
I
think that
know
like
their commitment to that is foolish to me. I think it's time to let that thing go. But whatever.
Yeah, sadly, I think that might be right, especially with some if games maybe have. I'm wondering how many other games have been looking like this that like
Mm.
we just haven't really been talking about.
Yeah.
See,
That a
elements of
lot of
what we're
people are
looking at
talking about.
here look really pretty. So like, there's elements of it that I think the design is cool. The cities, the
Yeah.
buildings, the architecture, the world looks very like lived in. I'm gonna rewind it here a little bit while we keep talking about it. But but yeah, the character design. I don't know. I can't think of a time when I've been 100% in love with every single character design that any games have. So there's always gonna be some characters look a little off to me. This one definitely
Yeah.
has that a little bit, but even in a game I'm loving right now, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, there's times when the characters aren't quite right. Whether the mouths are moving kind of funny, or
Mhm.
that's the
Or you just saw the same
I
person
saw the
right down the
same
street.
NPC
Yeah, you're
model that
like,
looked
that
exactly the same.
didn't
Yeah.
weren't you? You're not the blacksmith's daughter.
You,
What? Yeah.
you were the blacksmith. You had a mustache. Now you have a beard, and you're a different guy. Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
I
same.
can
Right.
Like,
see you.
yeah.
Disguise.
I mean,
This is
Witcher
disguise.
3 did that. There was so many.
Any open world game does this.
Yeah, so
Right.
many
Okay.
similar
Oblivion and
models.
Skyrim are notorious for this, and they'll use the
Yeah.
same face with the same voice actor, which I think is bold.
Dude, yeah. Yeah.
They're like, whatever.
I'm like, I heard this guy talking during a mission, and
You
now
were in Solitude. There's no way you're all the way over here.
I
in
think
Rift.
I
Like,
think
there's
I
no way
killed
it's
you. Are you
impossible.
playing dice right now in the tavern? What?
Teleportation, Kyle. Teleportation.
Yeah.
But Dan, you said that you were enjoying the combat so far. That to me, and that's something I haven't
Yeah.
really gotten into yet with the game. 'Cause to be honest with you, kind of fired it up, kind of barely scratched surface, and I was like, I'm gonna like this game. I don't want to do it yet. I want to finish
Yeah,
Kingdom
yeah.
Come Deliverance 2. I'm really close to finishing that game, so I think I want to wrap that game up and then dive into this. Probably before I had talked about like, hey, I'm gonna delay for a little while.
Mm.
Like even watching some of these clips I've seen and hearing about the wand combat and stuff.
Magic is sick.
I really want to do that. I really
Yeah,
want to.
Magic is
I
sick.
want to. I still haven't tried Magic Out, and that's the last thing I haven't done. Like,
Oh, Kyle, it's really cool.
Yeah, I really want to try that out. And everyone says that's the best.
The wand
so-
casting looks
Yeah.
so cool. I want to try that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like book and wand,
Book and
and then
wand,
like
yeah.
sometimes he just uses like Kamehameha ball, like
Yeah.
energy balls at people. Like,
Yeah,
I want to
'cause,
do all that.
Yeah.
I had the book and the wand, and there's like designated to the face buttons, like like the extra spell, like the kind of more extra fancy spell, and then there's just the kind of zapping with the wand, like very
Yeah.
Harry Potter, just kind of shooting the
Mhm.
little kind of general bullets, so to speak, magic bullets.
Yeah,
So,
this is my setup here: is the sword and the
Sword and
pistol, which has
pistol.
been
Nice.
very fun. Yeah. I'm bummed
So
to
does
hear
that mean
about
they're
the
too
Series
strong?
S.
The 3 skulls? Does that mean they're too powerful for you? Or,
I don't know,
a
actually.
boss? Okay.
That's what I would take from it.
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen that yet though.
Okay.
I
That'd
hear
be
a lot
nice,
of there are a lot of like difficulty spikes. Like, well, you'll like be in a new area and you're like, whoa, these guys are hitting me really
I better
hard.
go upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah, so I need to go upgrade, and
I'm
I
fine with
haven't really
that.
tested this yet, but I heard that like enemies don't respawn, so it's like if you just clear out an area, it's just kind of clear. But like
Okay.
I haven't
Huh,
tested
okay.
that yet, but I did hear that a couple times in a couple reviews.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too.
So you can't like level grind, like you can't just keep like running
Guess
back to
not,
an
but like the
area.
areas are so big that like
Okay.
by
Okay.
exploring you're inherently level grinding. Yeah, if
Yeah,
that makes
yeah.
sense, you know.
You know, I've
Um,
played games that kind of do that. Like that one No Rest for the Wicked from last year, even
Mm.
Tales of Iron 2 that I just played recently. Yes, they clear for a while, but whether it's passage of time or some event in the game, some different combination of enemies, sometimes stronger, sometimes the same types of ones will spawn again there. They're just now it's a new setup or so
Yeah.
technically maybe the same enemies don't, but I'd be surprised if no version of enemies ever pop back up in those areas. That'd be
I know.
interesting.
I definitely wanna. I definitely wanna like see that with my own eyes.
Yeah.
If that's true or not. Yeah.
Just becomes this No Man's Sky empty world, just no one there. Like, I
No,
killed- I
yeah, right.
killed
It's just
everyone.
NPCs going, "Good job! You killed literally all wildlife in this area, all the bears and the rabbits." And
The good news
And
is
then
the
you kill
bad
the
guys aren't
NPCs.
going to kill us. The bad news is we're all going to die. We have nothing.
Yeah,
There's
right.
nothing.
yeah, we don't have anything to eat now.
Well done. But Kyle, you're enjoying it from what you've continued to
Yeah,
play?
the little more I play of it, I was kind of down on like how much like the lore that they threw at you. Even though again, like I'm Mr. World Builder, like build me that world, but
Yeah.
like boy, do it to. I'm okay. It's getting to a point where I'm like, boy, that's interesting. Like where a lot of the parts of the world are really interesting to me, and they do some like piggybacking off some other fantasy stuff. So like they talk
Hmm.
about like the wheel and this like the wheel of
Fortune?
like no, like the different lives, whatever that's called, the reincarnation, the wheel of reincarnation.
Oh,
Where it's
okay.
like in this part of the wheel, you're doing this or whatever, and that's literally just from the fantasy book Wheel of Time. There's a lot of things that they cherry pick from other fantasy stuff, and then they go like really deep into like their own unique stuff, especially with like this whole like mushroom. I
Yeah.
don't know, man. Mushrooms are important. It's the whole
Hmm.
story. That's why I keep on comparing it to Morrowind as well, because Morrowind is like the land of mushrooms and weirdness, you
Hmm.
know. So I'm really enjoying it. It is definitely not the game I'm playing right now that's like taking up the most time for me. I'm much like you, Tim. I'm like, this might be late spring game or something like that, or
Yeah.
because we can't say summer anymore, that's taken.
It's taken. What the heck?
So yeah, we'll see how much more I play of it, but I dipping back in for another couple hours was fun. I got to the first main city. I do like that you're kind of like an emissary for the or an envoy for the emperor, so it's like you're kind of like the biggest cop. You're like the cop walking into town, and everyone's kind of like, "Whoa, hey, how's it going?" So I do like that you can, and that kind of gives you carte blanche to like just take everything. So like you can walk in somewhere. Like there's no stealing in this game. You can just take anything from anywhere if it's not nailed down. But it's not as like
Nice.
And no
robust
one
as like.
responds to it and reacts to it like that.
Nah, not really. Maybe someone goes, yeah, whatever you need.
Oh.
I'm not. Because like
Like,
again,
yeah,
like
all right.
I can,
Everyone's a pushover.
I'm Mr. Cop. Like that's basically what you are, and you're
Okay.
you're kind of carving out like how much of that you're leaning into. Like my character's a little more. He's an adventurous war hero, so I have a lot of like war hero, like stat-based war hero, like conversational like choices that I specifically get because of my background, which is cool. I like it when RPGs RPG. That's important. Yeah, I'm enjoying it, but yeah, I just it's just coming out at a weird time right now.
Mhm.
Just especially with like looming Monster Hunter stuff and everything like that. It's just like who's got time for all this stuff?
Yeah, good thing that's not coming out this week.
Nobody got time.
Yeah, I was threw up in my mouth a little bit, spending another $80 on a game. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, cool. I am excited to play it. I am convinced I'm going to be focusing on that magic 'cause that looks like so much fun.
Look at this. Yeah, this looks super cool.
Yeah, you turned it into a polar bear with that ice move you just did. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty cool.
The combat surprisingly, like, because the enemy, or at least that one guy that I fought was doing similar to what that bear was just doing. They like lunge at you quite a bit. So like you're moving around. It's like
it's hard, man. Like I feel
Yeah.
like there were enemies, especially if you get like really like swarmed or whatever, or fighting a boss like that, where it's like, oh, the game is definitely pushing back. Whereas like a lot of times, a lot of these types of games can feel like pushover, especially like the mainstreamingness of like Skyrim. Like that game can be a pushover if you are playing it overpoweredly. So
Right.
Yeah.
where it doesn't feel like you could get overpowered in this game. Like it just, I don't know. Like again, I'm really interested to get to these difficulty spikes to see how insane they are. Because if they're not that bad, then great. I like a game that keeps me on my toes until the credits. So
Some of the visuals almost, how this is set in the Pillars of Eternity world, right?
Mhm.
Some of it
Yeah, yeah.
almost feels like an isometric type game where you're zoomed way in. Like something about it just. I'm trying to put my finger on what is it with the visuals. It feels different, and I don't know exactly what it is.
I know what you mean. I don't know what the message, or I don't know what to pick up on, but yeah, I know something is there.
But I'm still very interested in playing it. The overall response to it has been positive. Not as like world-shatteringly in love with it across the board. Some people aren't really digging it. That's totally fine. But it's also fun to hate on the big devs these days. So no matter what they make, no matter how good it is, they're pure evil and
Not Obsidian.
Right.
Don't talk about Obsidian.
they have ulterior motives that they're trying to convince you of other things that are. It's like, okay,
Of course.
Maybe.
Guys, this game has Garrus, the voice actor, in it. Chill out. All right.
Yeah, everyone calm down.
Go play a game and be friends with the weird lizard guy.
That's right. Also out this week, and I don't think, from what I've heard from you guys, any of us are playing it, but it's worth highlighting that Lost Records Bloom and Rage is out.
right.
At least part 1 is now out. So, yeah, this is not from Don't Nod, but it is from the creators of Life is Strange, because they've moved on. At least
That's
some
cool.
From,
Yeah.
Do we know how many parts it's supposed to be?
I
Or
think 2.
Just 2?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So they're calling it Tape 1 and Tape 2. And
Cool.
so this is Tape 1, and Tape 2 comes out in April. So as a free update. So if you buy this, you get both. The second part comes out in April. So, I mean, the idea of it's
interested.
cool.
It's just too busy right now.
Yeah,
It's too busy.
little Stranger Things, but it's going to be an
Yeah.
unfinished story right now anyway, so I don't feel as much
true.
pressure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Little Stand
Yeah,
By
yeah.
Me vibes, with the group of young friends.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm sure there's going to be some Spielberg type stuff. Very small town.
Little Stranger Things, little Stand By Me, Spielberg. I'm in for it. Like I'm excited to play it. I know that the reviews haven't again been over the moon, but they've been solid on this game. That
I haven't
seen
seen the
so far.
reviews yet, so that's good to hear.
Yeah, so that is out. But also, I know most people have been wondering, when can I be not only a member of a Yakuza gang, but also a pirate? That time is now, everybody. That's
While you're in Hawaii.
I'm gonna rewind this a little bit.
Yeah.
So that is right now. So Kyle is currently. This is by the way an ACG video here. The last one was just a trailer from PlayStation's channel. So this is ACG, and they're just giving a pretty in-depth review of it. So there might be a couple things that flash up, but most of it should be gameplay of Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Kyle, tell me what you think about this one so far. Is it what you expected? Is it really just feel like a bunch of mini games and smaller spin-off experiences from the main series? How would you describe this one?
Yeah, this studio is like the king of reusing assets. Like you're taking a test here. We've been doing that in every Yakuza game for like 6 games now. Like
Yeah.
it's so like they're the king, but it always feels fresh, and sometimes it feels like kind of coming home, if you will. So it's like this thing, hearing certain musical cues, like whenever a sub story suddenly gets kind of like
Can we just talk about that
nice.
for a quick second? This
Yeah.
guy threw a boomerang sword. You jumped up, caught it, spun around, threw it right back into his head.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's your teammate too, so it's like that was a team up move. So yeah, these are like called heat moves. So it's like in the middle of a battle when you fill up your gauge, you can like initiate sometimes a combo attack like that.
That's so
and, like,
cool.
you and your buddy will attack a singular guy or a group of guys. Man, this game's a lot of fun. It's the combat's really ridiculous. The game likes to remind you that Majima, the main character, is 60 years old, but
What?
nobody ages in Yakuza, Tim. So
that guy right there is 60.
We just have to let it go, Tim. We got to move on. We got to get all the way off my back about it. We got to move on. No, but the last few games have with Kiru as well, where it's just like, remember, he's like 55 and he's 60, and it's just like he looks the same as he did when he was 20 in Yakuza 1. They've never really updated his character model. So I think that's just so funny. But this game is absurd. Like the game starts off with like you like landing on an island and meeting like a little Hawaiian kid or whatever, and like they immediately obviously speak each other's language, and like Majima is narrating the story, and he's like, "I'm not going to bore you with how we got past the language barriers. We're just going to move past it," and then he never mentions it ever again.
That's
Like that's the type of like it's just I like when a game's just like here are the cards. I'm putting it all on the table.
Yeah.
It's wacky. And we're not going to stop being wacky. And this game is like it's definitely the most ridiculous game in the franchise. Because even when like Yakuza did like a samurai story, like that was a really like there was almost no comedy in that game at all. It's just a really serious story. So it's like Ishin, yeah. But this is like really absurd. It's just the most absurd thing in the entire world. The ship combat's a lot of fun. I can see how it's going to get repetitive, but like it's as deep as. I would even say even more arcadey than like Assassin's Creed's takes on like ship combat, like in Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag and stuff like that. So even more arcadey, maybe a little more streamlined, controls, but very similar to that in feel and everything.
Look at your shark fiddle attack.
You can summon people with cursed instruments, and now look, there's sharks jumping up everywhere. Yeah, and you could throw your swords like boomerangs, and you go to a giant like Las Vegas,
flashy.
a pirate Las Vegas in the sea, like where everyone like bets on Coliseum fights and stuff like that. This game is so ridiculous, and in the first I've played it for like 8 hours now. I have done so many things like that. It's just I have never done anything for very long. It's so you kind of move on to the next thing.
That grapple hook was kind of cool, a little Spider-Man-esque.
I'm really trying to get that. That's what I'm trying to mainline the story for right now.
Okay.
Because you can use it to get around in the open world, and you can use it in combat.
How's the pirate sailing?
It's fun. The sailing again. It's a little like all this stuff is kind of cool because you can like stop on random maps like this. He's like pulling up to a random island, and then that's like a mini dungeon, and you just kind of run through and beat up a bunch of pirates and get a piece of treasure at the end. Okay. And every time you get treasure, your pirate renown goes up, and it's all about like chasing like to be the best pirate in the land. And they never explain why. Everyone's dressed up like pirates.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's even the premise of like?
I think it's set in modern day, right?
It's set in modern day. He just wakes up on the beach one day and pirates attack him. And he's like, "What is everybody cosplaying?" And then he never mentions how weird it is ever again. It's like he just buys in that everything is like this now, and that's okay.
So
Uh,
maybe his brain is also dying, so he sees
Yeah.
everything as
Everybody
pirate.
around him is playing along though. Usually in the other games, they're like, he's going crazy, you know. But
Okay,
like
okay.
it's like everybody is having in a fugue state in this game where they think that pirating, like it's a Black Sails comic,
That is so funny.
is come to life. But yeah, it's really cool. I like this is what people probably wanted when they were probably looking at what's that game that EA made.
Oh my gosh, the sales,
Oh,
the black, not Black Sales. That's the show. What's it called?
Jesus. That's how much
Ubisoft's
it mattered.
pirate failure.
Yeah,
Quadruple
that's how much
A.
it
It's
mattered.
called
Yeah, the
Quadruple A, I think.
quadruple A the game.
Triple A.
Yeah, like this is what people
Skull and
wanted.
Bones.
I
Skull
think.
and
Yeah,
Bones.
thank you, Skull and
Yes, there you
Bones.
go.
Like to
Skull
get
and
off
Bones
on
indeed.
islands and like fight stuff, and like I don't know, like this is like the pirate game probably a lot of people are waiting for, and
Yeah.
why we wait for like a remake for Black Flag or Black Flag 2 or whatever, or somebody else to come in and make a pirate game. It's insane to me. We don't have like a surplus of 5 pirate games.
Yeah.
I know.
But yeah, man, it's a good time. I'm really enjoying it. It is cool to like get the Honolulu, which is not a major part of like the story at all. Like it's just a place that you kind of stop at, and like that's where I'm at
Mm.
right now. And it is a major part of the story I'm doing now, but like everything else has been like kind of out like in the ocean and like going to islands and going to Atlantis and stuff like that. And I know that that's ultimately where I'm going back out to again.
So you can
I'm
recruit
trying.
a crew and like assign them
Yep.
to roles on your
You
ship.
assign
and
them to
stuff like
roles.
that.
You can find crew members on the
kinda fun.
mainland by like doing quick missions for them or collecting stuff for them and yada yada. They level up. You can take them as part of your boarding party. You can take them as part of like your island.
They have special
mini
abilities.
special abilities. Yep, they level up. They get better at what they do.
That's cool.
It's really involved. There's just so many. This is like these games are just mechanic after mechanic after mechanic after mechanic, and like you can choose to engage with it as much or not as much as you want to. Like I stop and play every Sega arcade game. I see. I'd stop and smell the roses every time in these games. It
Yeah.
just makes it extra fun.
Mm.
But like you don't need to do all that stuff. You can apparently blow through this main story in like 13 hours.
Oh.
But like to see everything, it's like 60.
Yeah.
So
That's
so
quite
like
the
that's
drastic
how much
difference.
that's
Yeah.
how much extra that's how much of this is just stuff, just
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
in the game. But it's fun stuff. It's piratey stuff, so I'm here
Good.
for it.
I'm glad it's delivering for you. I have yet to hear you say, the team there just didn't pull it off
They
for me this
misstepped. They
time.
misstepped. Yeah, you know what? They just came out. They misstepped.
I don't think
you
I've
know?
heard you say that about this team yet. So I'm glad that
Yeah,
that's still not the case.
It's just fun, man. I don't know. It's at this point, it's comfort food, and I feel like I always know I'm gonna get a Yakuza game every year now, which
That's
like
crazy.
exhausting to some, but like I don't know. It's my Madden, I guess. I just every year I know I'm gonna get something.
I liked that the pirate battling. They're not even trying to make it like physically realistic. The guy just did like a full spin, like he was.
Oh
like,
yeah, you
skidding
can
in
do
the
a
water.
drift if you will. Yeah,
He was drifting.
Yeah,
with a
yeah.
pirate
And
ship.
you can hook shop up into like the crow's nest and like get a rocket launcher out and manually
course.
shoot rocket
Jesus.
launchers out. Like it's
Yeah,
this game's so wacky.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I talked about this one a few weeks ago, but it is now out on PC. Cinema Simulator 2025.
Yes.
Oh,
So you can
yes.
get in there, you clean it up, you pick your movies. We talked about this. There's 2 movie things out, right? You've got the one where you're the executive picking the movies for the studio,
Mm.
and now you've got one where you are actually running.
This is like gas station simulator, but a movie theater.
Or movie theater. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So that is now
I
out.
I wishlist this. How are the reviews?
I have not looked. I have not looked.
Almost scared to.
I'm gonna look now real quick while we're thinking about
These
it.
I'm
games
gonna
don't
do it.
always review well immediately,
No,
especially
yeah.
because they always come out so janky.
Well, there's also always
It's
so
at
many
an
copycats.
84% positive right now.
Okay,
Huh.
cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that is pretty
Look at
solid.
this guy. He's videotaping.
Yeah, punch him. Get him out of there. You can't be taping him.
Yeah. I love that you punch him. You don't tell him just to leave. Like,
Just
can you
keep-
imagine
yeah.
getting decked in the face like in the middle of the theater?
It's so funny. Also out this week is this cool looking game called Soda Man. And it just has all this attitude. It looks like a Vampire Survivors, but like,
Soda Man.
yeah, but kind of
Oh, is it
sci-fi esque. I
Okay.
think it's multiplayer. Yeah.
This looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually. This looks pretty.
He's drinking a soda. Oh, this
go.
is great. Yep.
As
I
soon
like
as you
the-
saw All Out of Soda, you knew you'd
Yeah.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I like the ultra animated, like
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
it's very Dave the Diver. It's like, yeah, we're gonna be really stylistic real quick to show this off.
Augment your body, a little
Ooh,
cyberpunk.
look at his arms.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're in. They call
Yeah,
it
this
a
is
bullet
cool.
heaven roguelike where you're a cybernetic
Bullet
super
Heaven.
soldier. Mm-hmm.
So probably a power fantasy then.
I think so.
Maybe it's
That's
a
what
little
it looks like.
easier.
But they said roguelike.
What is this called again?
It's called Soda Man.
I'm
Soda
witnessing it
Man.
right
One
now.
word, Soda Man.
What a name.
There it is,
What a
Soda
name.
Man.
Soda
And it just came out
Man.
this past week. So
Alright.
you can check it out on
Not a scat
Steam.
man. He's a soda man.
He's a Soda Man.
I'm the Soda Man.
All right, this one's called Long Winter. One word.
Oh, it's $4. Come on.
Soda
yeah.
Man's $4.
Wow,
Yeah, I'm picking that up.
dude, that's a steal.
All right, that's
That's a
cool.
steal.
It is early access. But,
This one's called Long Winter. So this is I don't know how to describe. It's an isometric kind of like shooter, but Animal Crossing because you're building a village at the same time. But you're also shooting.
I'm intrigued.
You said Animal Crossing and shooting, so
Yeah.
I'm like immediately I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there was definitely some combat. I don't know how much combat there is because
Dude,
you're
building.
Oh,
Tim, building.
I
You're
know.
getting
You
wish
can
list
build shit.
too.
Yeah, long winter. One word.
Winter.
Long winter.
Nice.
So yeah, you go out and exploring. So it's got survival elements to it. It's got action elements to it. So I believe it is out on Steam now. It's coming to consoles.
40% off right now.
Okay.
$11.99 instead of
consoles,
$19.99.
I'm gonna have to be a console pleb and wait.
It is definitely coming to PlayStation at least. But it might be a while. It's on Steam right now. See, look, there's shooting. Like you're.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
Type your game with.
Alright.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Intrigued.
Yeah. Long winter. So that one is.
It is cool that they let
yeah.
people make content as well. So if like someone made like a cool shirt or something,
Yeah.
and they uploaded it, you could download it or whatever.
Which is very Animal Crossing because you can upload designs and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
and-
true. Yeah. That is right.
This one looks interesting too. It's a story-based one called Stories from Seoul, the Gun Dog. So this is a kind of a sci-fi visual novel. So if you're in that kind of a mood, but the visual style on it looks really cool. It kind of just takes me back to old, like PC or Nintendo games or something like that, because it's really just talking heads at you. You got to make decisions and stuff like that. But yeah, it's this kind of stuff. Move, look, use, talk. See these over here. Yeah.
Like that.
That's cool.
So they call it a narrative adventure RPG is how they describe it.
Yeah, I like the look of that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's called Stories from Seoul, the Gun Dog. I'll find the title screen here. There it is. So there you go. Stories from Seoul, the Gun Dog. It's coming to consoles and Steam. I think it's out on all of them now. So you can give that one a look. These are the kind of games that you never hear about till they're released. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
you just
What?
there are some games you don't know about until the day or the days after they're out. You're like, what? That exists? And
Which I love.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite things is games just being shadow dropped at
right.
a game presentation.
That's right. I didn't know about Valheim till it was out. And I was like, all right, I'll give this a try. And here we are. And I still won't shut up about it. So, so that is out. And then one more that has a really cool look to it. I don't know, Gaston, if you still watch, but this one's for you, okay? It's called Whisker Squadron
Oh boy.
Survivor. It's called Whisker Squadron Survivor. But it does look really cool. So check out the art style on this. It is a kind of Star Fox-esque game once you get through this little animated opening.
Yeah.
It's a pretty short trailer, but
This would be like on adults.
Right here.
Not
There you
Whoa! Oh
shit,
man,
dude.
this is cool.
so Race the Sun. I remember playing that Race the Sun game. It was an interesting flying kind of adventure game. But now we've got ourselves more of an arcade shooter.
What is Nintendo doing? Like, why don't we have more Star Fox
But this
games?
art
Like,
style looks really cool.
Don't get me started, Dan.
It's-
I can't do
started.
this. I can't do
Oh,
this
we're
with
doing
you
it.
right now.
we're doing it. We're absolutely doing it. Like,
that's my like Metroid. Like everyone's getting Metroid back right now, and I love Metroid
Sure.
too. But like I'm like, we need to bring back Star Fox. Like, and it makes no sense to me why we don't make those games still.
I mean, that's cool that there's something like that because this looks rad as hell.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what's cool about like indie games and stuff like that. Like, there's another really like big one. I forget what it's called, but it's on Steam as well, and it's like a Star Fox for kind of replacement. And like, yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like, other people will fill the void if the big guys won't. So
yeah, absolutely.
The last one that just came out is called Cabernet. So this is they call it a 2D narrative RPG. So it kind of reminds me of that one came out a couple years ago that won all these awards. I'm blanking out on the name of it though. Had a really interesting art style. It was mostly narrative RPG. But
Pentiment.
anyway, yeah, there's Pentiment. This actually the art style looks like Pentiment.
But where you were like, I know what
You're
you're
like a
talking. Yeah, I'm
drunkard at the
forgetting.
beginning. You're wasted. Anyway,
Oh, Elysium.
yes, Disco Elysium.
Oh, Disco
Yeah.
Elysium.
So
Oh,
like
great game.
some of the descriptions of this remind me a lot of how that one was described. But anyway,
Okay.
this looks interesting. It's called Cabernet. The idea is that you're in 19th century Eastern Europe, or at least it's a world inspired by that time, and you're a young vampire, new in your unlife among the unsuspecting townsfolk, and you have to decide whether you retain your humanity or descend further into the horror that you've become. So yeah,
Cool.
you are a vampire basically trying to navigate that world back in the day.
Sick.
So
Do you get to sparkle like a Twilight vampire though?
you get to do
That's what I'm
that
wondering.
apparently.
We'll never get beyond that.
Yeah.
We'll never get beyond it.
No. So Cabernet, that is out
That
now.
looks cool.
Yeah. I was just glancing at Steam real quick to see. So Cabernet currently is at 91% positive. Long Vinter is at 71% positive, so not quite as high. And then what was the other one we were talking about?
Squadron.
Yeah, Whisker Squadron.
Or Soda Man.
What a dumb name. I'm
Soda
sorry.
Man.
Whisker Squadron. I already played a game that had the whiskers in the title. I can't do it again. You know, I played Tales of Iron 2, Whiskers of Winter. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
that's true. Yeah.
So this Whisker Squadron game was in early access. Now it's 1.0 release. That's why it's getting re-advertised as a new release.
Gotcha.
All reviews were 86%. The launch reviews are a little lower, but there's not that many of them. So anyway, I still think it looks cool with that Star Fox.
That looks
Yeah.
super cool. Yeah.
I like. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm slow and late to the party, but also anthropomorphic animals, Star Fox. It makes sense that it's in the same realm of.
did you guys play Starlink?
Yeah.
What did you think
No.
about it?
That was yeah, I liked it. I got it on the Wii. Was it the Wii U or I forget what it was on, or the Switch? I guess it was on the Switch.
I think it was on everything. I got on the
Because
Switch
because
too,
it had the Star Fox
hmm
like DLC or whatever,
DLC.
or
Yep.
skin or whatever. Like you could use the R-wing as your ship, and like you were Fox instead of like the character that was in the game. And it was the closest thing we got into a Star Fox in forever, and it was close enough for me. Yeah, I liked it just fine. Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was fun. That was like the only stab at it, but that was by Ubisoft. So
Mhm.
that means it's not going to be successful, right? No matter how much money it makes, they're like, nope.
Yeah,
didn't
I
do
don't know.
well.
Nintendo like, you know what? We're so buddy with Ubisoft, and I'm like, why them? Like. But they did make those good strategy RPG
Mario
games.
Rabbit
Yeah,
games
Mario
were
Rabbids
pretty.
is great. Yeah. So, just no one bought them. So it's just like,
Yeah.
it's a
True
shame.
story.
I don't know, man.
That is very true. Well, all right. So let's pivot here a little bit into some headlines that I have seen this past week, and maybe you guys have seen other ones too. But try to keep it mixed up between the good and the bad. There's, not all bad news, but got to kick it off with this company NetEase. They're kind of like Embracer is the best way.
Yeah.
Like, they feel like an Embracer type
They
of a
might
group.
even be Embracer. I
They
don't
might
know.
be. Yeah.
I have never seen them in the same place at the same time. So
Neither have I.
Giving
That's
me
true.
more Activision vibes because really, that's the thing. So many people would shit on for years and years. EA is the worst, which I mean they weren't great
They've
and
had
still
their
aren't.
low moments for sure.
Yeah.
Activision is before the merger, especially that awful company. Bobby Kotick is a douche.
I like how
Awful
Bobby
company.
Kotick's doing a lot of tell-all stuff right now. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, because
He's like,
out
now
right?
that I'm out, I'm
Yeah.
spilling all the beans. I'm like, okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna be honest. Great. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
So the reason I say NetEase is not cool is not because they're a big corporation that makes them inherently evil. You could make that argument, but that's not what I'm saying necessarily. I'm saying that they did a lot of what we saw Embracer do over the last few years: invest, and then over that time, for whatever reason, new leadership, the varying economy, the slow return of investment. Who knows what factors are going into this? They are deciding to pull back on a lot of their investments, especially their non-China investments. So that's what we're starting to see, especially in most notably the developers, at least one of the teams that helped to develop Marvel Rivals. Now, to be fair, they apparently weren't the core development team. I totally get it. But it was their US-based team and the US-based director. Now, it wasn't the overall director of the game. I did a little digging to see, like, that's weird they would fire their main people. It's not their main people, but they were still integral in getting the game off the ground, and it was very unexpected. It's not like they knew this was a contract and when the game's launched, you're out.
Right.
If you knew that, then okay, that's part of a contract.
Yeah.
That's
And to
not
be
what this
fair, the
was.
video game industry is very cyclical like that. Every developer
Mhm.
since these big developers started like in the late 90s, early 2000s, like whenever you launch a game, you make cuts. Like that's
Yeah.
just kind of what happens or whatever.
And then you spin up
Um,
another version of that team, maybe some of the same people, maybe some
yep.
new ones to get something
Yep.
going.
Sometimes
So
writers will move on. It's just like it's not always just QA testers and
it's almost
devs,
like a new administration in government. They're like
A
firing
little bit,
everybody and they're
yeah.
bringing in their squad, and then they'll get
Uh,
fired for the next one. They'll bring in their squad.
kinda, yeah, a little bit.
So anyway, it's just kind of a bummer to see, of course, but apparently multiple development studios, not just individuals, are at risk. I don't know Nagashi Studios. I'm not familiar with that one. Maybe you guys know what they've made, but Quantic Dream and Grasshopper, of course, are
Mhm.
included, which is a major bummer. And that's just some of the ones that are reportedly at risk. That's kind of how they're being talked about right now. So NetEase was previously popular for their MMOs and mobile games, but they've been acquiring studios all around the world, really, Japan, North America, and Europe. And
Yep.
but now that they hit these turbulent times, all of a sudden they're scaling back. They're saying that they're significantly scaling back. Actually, some sources are saying that they're actively shopping around almost all their non-Chinese studios. So
That's crazy. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, like to get big Japanese developers like, and I'm forgetting his name, but the guy who created the Yakuza series and Suda51 from Grasshopper Studios. Like those are huge names to poach
yeah,
and then bring over into the fold and then subsequently completely screw over.
yeah,
People didn't think that the Yakuza series would be able to exist like outside of that guy's vision either. So the fact that like they were able to recoup and keep going kind of stronger than ever, the branding is more strong than it's ever been, is great, but it sucks that it had to be at the cost of some guy who left for greener pastures
yeah,
and promises that were just completely unfulfilled. And then even worse for Suda 51, where it's like we don't get enough of that guy's games anyways. They take a while to come
Sure.
out, and like now this major setback. Will we ever get another Suda 51 game? NetEase can burn. Like it's
yeah,
metaphorically. We don't need anybody dying
yeah.
over this, but like
You heard Kyle,
yeah,
guys. Call to action.
everyone burn down headquarters. No, don't do that. We're
Kyle,
not.
we get the good people out. You leave. No, I'm
Yeah, that's right. Gamers suck, guys. Yeah, don't like, but like that's we've seen it so many times. Even EA back in the day would just buy a bunch of companies and just like stop funding them, and then they would just the studio would just sink, and they're like, well, they ran out of money. I'm like,
Yeah.
you own them,
But
so
it just goes to
you
show you
stop
that there's
paying them.
more things at play than even just money. Because a lot of times when we have
Yeah,
these conversations, and we have a
it's
lot
true.
over the years as companies have made changes, layoffs, cuts, they've shuttered entire studios. And the three of us, and sometimes Jeff or Derek or others included, we all talk about how, hey, if you just make a really good product and it makes a lot of money, those usually are the only two things you got to do. Well, Marvel Rivals has passed 40 million players. By the way, for a little bit of comparison, Pow World, over its full year of being like the biggest news game of last year, just hit 33 million, and they're super excited. So Marvel Rivals in 2 months has surpassed 40 million
It's
right.
incredible.
individual players and has a net revenue right now for NetEase of 2.9 billion. So Marvel Rivals is crushing it. Um,
Good for them.
and that's part of the teams that are being laid off. So there's more than just is it successful as at making money. It's more than that. There's
Hmm.
probably other factors, like you mentioned, Kyle. It's a really good point of you spin them up to get the game out the door, but you don't need them long term because to keep the game running, you only need a smaller skeleton crew to keep maybe
Yeah.
But
And
there's
sometimes
also
that's transparent, you know what I mean,
right.
between the company and the person. This
This
seemed
didn't
like,
seem that way.
yeah, this didn't seem
They're
that
all
way.
like,
Exactly.
I guess I'm not working here anymore. Like it seemed like a
Right.
surprise.
News to me. Yeah.
That's what makes it so much grosser. And I mean, you can
Yeah.
understand why a lot of these devs and these people out here, voice actors too, with their own union, like why they want to do that to have some kind of protection.
Right.
Sure.
If it takes having to do something like that, then by all means, then figure it out because. Yeah, there needs to be rules for these things. You really just shouldn't be allowed to form a team of people and just not even be like, yeah, we're like even if it's just kind of hinted at, like, hey, there's a possibility. we'll get this thing up and running, and then we will have enough people on these other
Right.
teams in other parts of the world to run. So there's like a possibility you guys like are not going to stay on, and then you have that in your. It's like, well, okay, and then you
Yeah.
make that decision, but just to not even inform them at all in
Well,
any
and
way,
hire
shape,
him
or
on as
form.
contractors, so you have to like renegotiate
That's right.
every. So it's like kind of there's always like a decision to be made at
You're
the end of
working
your like
until this
contract
deliverable
period.
is
Yeah.
completed, and then we'll reevaluate.
And yeah, there might be things that we're just missing because we're just not in.
There's also political movement around the world happening, with all the leadership changes. Yes, in the U.S., but elsewhere too. So
Sure.
there's so many pieces at play and so many chess moves being made between not just governments, but also these corporations, these larger conglomerate corporations that have their fingers in all these different pies of types of businesses. And so
Right.
it's very gross. And as people who like the content and many times the art that's being made, it feels like it doesn't belong as we talk about our favorite hobby,
Yeah.
So I don't like it, and that's why I stand by my statement. NetEase, it's not cool, man.
Not cool, man. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
cool.
Not cool.
Yeah. So if you guys
NetEase,
were to
you're
ask
kind
me
of-
for
you're
my
kind of a bitch.
my hardcore take, here's my hardcore economic take on NetEase. Not cool.
Hey, bummed
Well
about
said.
what you did.
Yeah.
Bummed.
Hey, NetEase, you're kind of a bitch. So
You're bumming me out.
Yeah. That's a bummer move, man. It's not
Yeah.
radical at all.
Yeah. Well,
Not very cowabunga of you.
speaking
you
of
know what I mean?
layoffs, and
No,
this one's not
not
too
cowabunga,
surprising
no.
because I didn't think Netflix was going to be in the video game for a whole long time, and maybe they still will
Oh,
stay in there. But Night School Studio, the team behind Oxenfree, has reportedly had some layoffs announced in January that they weren't necessarily expecting.
Great.
As Netflix is apparently they're shutting down numerous aspects of their video game arm in an attempt to reorganize the interactive side of their business.
What were they thinking?
Dude,
I
we've
guess.
been
They were
saying
thinking
that from
more
the
money,
start. They were thinking,
right?
yeah, they're thinking this.
There's all this
They're
money
like,
on the
hey.
table. What money? Like people are closing down. Like it's so weird when they got in. Like these closures were kind of
Yeah.
starting, and they're like, "There's a lot of money to be
Let's
had." I'm
jump
like,
in.
look around you. It's burning. Like, what are
Yeah.
you talking about?
Yeah, and also it only really is helpful if you're on your phone using Netflix and you happen to open up Netflix on your phone and then you want to click one of those games and you download it and you play it like a mobile game where, I don't know, I only did it once or twice, and even then I don't think I played those games for more than a few minutes. So some people did, though. Some people played games that way, and that's cool. But I'm guessing that the numbers just were not there to support it. But I could be wrong. But anyway, that is another surprise to staff over there. All right, well, let's talk about something more uplifting and fun. Tony Hawk, that name just takes me back to like early PS1 days and Mountain Dew and X Games and watching wrestling and eating Doritos. It takes me back to
all
those
those
days.
things go hand in hand together.
Extreme Doritos,
Yeah.
Tim, not even regular Doritos. Extreme.
Cooler Ranch. That's right. And Code Red Mountain Dew, not just Mountain Dew. Code
Absolutely.
Red. So Tony Hawk 3 and 4 remasters look very likely to happen. Not only did I think it was a skater. Professional skater said something about it. Like, I'm going to be in a remaster that hasn't been announced yet. And everyone's
they have my voice. Yeah.
So there was that. That was one of the biggest giveaways. But also, and I love when people do a little sleuthing on a website. So their official website has this countdown for March 4th. They're going to reveal their next thing. And someone found the phrase in their code, which, by the way, all you have to do is right click and hit inspect page source, and you can see all kinds of details in the code. And they saw THPS 3-4 countdown. So I was like, all right, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 countdown. Got it.
Yeah.
So someone named it very like on the nose.
No one's hiding anything.
Apparently
no data mining required.
It's been removed now, but it was too late. People saw it.
What was the last actual new Tony Hawk? Wasn't there like that whole like dinner event happening or something? And
yeah, 4.
I forget.
Was it 4?
Oh, it was like Tony Hawk like 7 or something, right? Like it was like
4 is older. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it was like I remember some kind of like event, some kind of like party or something, and like people were like, oh, like this is for Tony Hawk. Like I don't remember the details at all, but I just remember like it was like kind of like an accidental, like, well, I guess a new Tony Hawk's coming, so.
That's right. I know that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster did really well. People loved it. It was a great revisit to that series. I remember I played it for a little bit. Thought it was cool. So having remasters of 3 and 4, not at all surprised. Totally makes sense. Very popular series. To me, it's more nostalgic. I didn't spend a ton of time playing these. Some people that's all it was their Madden. You know, for some people like
Right.
that was their game, and I totally get it. Had cool
Yeah.
soundtrack too, but yeah, it wasn't a series that I was necessarily as into as others, but it just still takes me back to those days, that late 90s, early 2000s. It just kind of brings back those nostalgic
Sure.
feelings.
Especially the soundtracks. The soundtrack is like
Soundtrack
what
for
adds to
sure.
that too.
Big,
Yeah,
yeah.
a lot of people like found their musical identity like through those video
That's
games.
right.
You know?
Yep. Hey, speaking of old games that are still pretty cool to revisit, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 are free on the Epic Games Store mobile app, which I do not have, but apparently they're going to be giving away one free mobile game, in this case two.
Some say the last
per
good
month.
BioWare game that was ever made.
Some
you know?
some say,
Some say.
and that is not accurate. But
Yeah, fantastic games though, and 2's great too. Obsidian, not much of an ending on that game, but it's a good ride. It's a fun ride.
yeah, I've heard the ending is the problem. Otherwise, it's an
Well,
amazing.
they ran out of money, and they're like, I guess we just got to put it out. So
Yeah, I like the idea of it, like literally, like Xenogears. It just ends. It's
Yeah.
like, okay.
yeah, and it actually kinda,
And
yeah, kinda, a little bit, yeah.
And-
So-
Where
so
it's like,
someone's sitting on a
I
chair?
guess there's like a semblance of an ending here, but you certainly, I don't know. I feel like I'm missing some hours here,
Yeah.
and you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. If you want a free game, their Epic Game Store, as long as you have an account with them, you don't have to pay a subscription or anything. Just like on PC, they give away at least one free game, or sometimes it's like a free add-on pack or something every week. So if you're on the Epic Game Store on your PC, every week you can add something to your library. So I still check in on that every week. But on mobile, they're going to be giving away one per month. So there you go. I like free stuff, even if it's something I don't think I'll ever play. I grab it just in case, you know.
Why not?
Yeah.
I download every PlayStation free game,
So
even
do
though
I,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm never gonna play this.
Add
this
to
Barbie
library.
game or
When am I
whatever,
going to play? Never. But it's in the library, and that feels good in my heart.
does.
So
You don't leave pennies on the table.
no,
alright?
come on. Dune Awakening finally has a launch date. It's hitting
Ooh.
May 20th on PC, and it's expected to hit consoles not too far later in the year. So, yeah. And they are calling it one of the most ambitious survival games ever made.
Ambitious is the word I was gonna bring up. Where I'm like, there is so much going on in this game.
There's a lot.
I've heard a lot of really good stuff about this game.
Yeah.
I'm
Nice.
just gonna pick it up on PC. I probably will.
Yeah, so that's May 20th. Kyle, remember we talked about playing Avowed later in the spring?
No, yeah. May's taken.
Yeah, May's full.
So
I have spice to do, baby. I got some
Spice.
spice.
Yeah.
So is it just a I thought it was an MMO. Is it
It
not
is.
an MMO?
It's a like Conan the
MMO survival.
Barbarian. Yeah, Conan the Barbarian, same studio, was a survival MMO.
Right.
And it
Oh,
is.
okay,
It is
okay.
that.
You very much
Gotcha.
could play it on your own server and just
Yeah.
experience it solo.
There
if you
is a
want.
story that you like follow, not unlike an MMO, like where you follow like from person to
Yeah.
person across the world, and
Mhm.
but you're just also building and surviving stuff as well. So.
Cool.
Yep.
That's pretty. That's pretty epic.
Some of the systems they showed in that gameplay, I was like, I'm trying not to get too hyped, but it looks like it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
So who knows? Who knows if it's actually going to deliver? Sometimes you see, a clip of a game or a screenshot of a game, and you're like, that looks amazing. And you play it, and like, oh, okay, cool. It doesn't feel good at all. I'm not going to like this.
Right.
So
right.
I have no idea if this will feel great or not. But what I've seen
Yeah, I
so far
didn't-
looks amazing.
I didn't love Conan.
I didn't like the way that one felt too much. I played it for a little while, and
I know a lot of people like that too. So when
Yeah.
people go, "I like this," I go, "Were you the same Conan people?" You know,
Yeah.
like. So I hope it's a little different than that, but I am optimistic. It looks like there's cool shooting, there's cool
Yeah.
like knife play, there's cool like melee going. Like the combat looks kind of fun. The mission structure looks cool.
It's
You
like an
can
alternate
get the
universe thing
spice.
set up. So each
Yeah, there's
person
no
is
there's
the
no
hero.
Paul Atreides. Yeah,
Hmm.
there and so it's like you get to kind of play around in this universe without there being like, the big looming story of like, well, what's going on with Paul? Don't worry about it. That's
Yeah,
a
it's like
different
your own
universe, so-
timeline basically that you get to play
Yeah.
around in, which is kind of good idea to like. We're gonna use the world and the lore and not mess
right.
with the story here.
Yeah.
And who knows? Like as expansions come out, I mean, do we go planet hopping? I don't know. Like it might get bigger and bigger as a
Yeah,
concept.
that'd be
So
cool.
Dune is more than just the planet Dune, Arrakis. So
It's
yeah.
more than just the sand.
Yeah, there are so much. There's 10,000 years of lore in that series. So
It's just sand. It's just
it's
sand.
just
and
sand.
Willy
Every
Wonka.
single universe.
We're all about that coarse sand, you know.
It's
Coarse.
just Wonka and sand. Hey, this coming week there's going to be a Pokemon Presents showcase set to air on February 27th.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to see what exactly this Pokemon Legends Z-A is all
Follow
about.
up to Arceus.
Because all we've seen is that kind of weird
We've just seen the city.
Tron-looking trailer,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think Dan brought up that it might just be like just in the city, which sounds
that's what people were like
super
speculating.
interesting to me.
Yeah. Make it really compact, but like really rich and full of stuff to do. Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, could work.
See, I don't know.
It worked out really well for Dragon Age 2, so we're gonna make it. We're gonna make the setting just in this city, and everyone's gonna
Copy
love
and
it.
paste.
And we all did. We all loved it.
Yeah, there was no problems. I don't think.
There were no problems.
Copy and paste, baby.
Trying to think of games that have done that. Mostly, the only ones that come to mind are like GTA for me. Like GTA 4, for example, was all in one city. But that
I guess you could argue that Deus Ex. Well, no, because there's multiple cities in that. But like,
yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Like you're in like Detroit for just
Primarily,
a while, and
yeah.
you go on like away missions, like away from the hub or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess you go to Shanghai and a bunch of other places.
So yeah, it depends on how it's done. You know, it could be great. Could be great.
But aside from Legends, though,
Yeah.
Pie in the Sky, which obviously we've all been like, our Pokemon fans have been like asking for years now. Dude, get the freaking old Pokemon games on the what is it, Game Boy, GBA, like online, Nintendo
the Switch
online thing.
Service.
Yeah, get the old games on there. Make it so you can,
Pokemon
trade through on the Switch. You
Pokemon
don't need a cable like back in the day.
The cable.
Yeah, no cables.
Yeah.
That would be amazing, dude. I would absolutely love that if they did that.
I think they should be bold and remake Red and Blue and Yellow again. These assholes will buy this game again. I think they should remake it. Yeah,
it's like 3 times they've done it.
The Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu were.
That's just a remake. Yeah,
yeah,
that is literally just a remake of that game. Yeah, let's just do it one more time. Who cares?
Dude, I still remember when I got the DS version. I think it was Black and White was the first one on DS. I think.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Which one of them, it was X and Y or Black and White or Diamond. I can't remember which one had the world trading that happened, and that changed it for me completely.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, they have this thing called Wonder Trading, where it's like you can just throw a Pokeball out into the ether, and then one will come back.
Take my dumb Pidgey, and someone will take it, and they'll give you something amazing.
You get exactly. It's because they overbreed a really rare Pokemon, and you'll just get that like a starter, and you're like, oh my god, I'm cheating. I got a starter. I got a second starter.
Now, sure, he's got a weird name that's in Japanese characters. I don't understand. But
yeah, sometimes they ruin that. Yeah. It could be something racist for all you know. You don't know what it's saying.
It could say, look at this dumb white man who traded for me, and I'm like, that's great.
I got that extra Squirtle though,
exactly. Yeah. Call me whatever
that
you
squirrel
want.
Be squirting. That squirrel be squirting. Yeah.
I'm curious to see what they do if they're gonna announce anything. I think it's Pokemon Day or whatever they call it. Like that's what February 27th is like.
They'll announce that Pokemon Go made another $20 billion or something like that.
By the way, I saw that Niantic is potentially looking at selling off their gaming wing,
which is insane. Like we're just tired of this. Like
we've made 9 years of too much money. It's like,
right. We don't know what to do with all this money. We got to get rid of this thing that prints money right now. Get out of here. You guys are stupid.
I feel sorry. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, right.
I hope they figure it out. Poor guys. So anyway, that's all I know of from this past week. Do you guys know of any other headlines or news that's happened?
I can't think of anything. Yeah.
Those are the main things that I was aware of. Let's talk about stuff that we're playing. And I know that it can sound like the same thing every week. That's because we play really big, good games. That's just what we do. Okay? That's how we operate. Can't help it. But I want to start with a game that, again, I'll throw it back to our buddy Gaston, has tried to convince us to play again. That we're not giving it a fair shake because we loved the 2016 Doom. I think all of us loved it. Well, Dan is finally giving Doom Eternal another try. Is that fair to say, Dan? You're like
brave.
You're finally diving. Yeah, very, very brave.
Yeah.
So brave.
Some would even say stunning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had this is the first time I'm playing Eternal at all. I just haven't gotten around to it. And to be honest, because it's just some of you guys in the Facebook group over the years just kind of like, oh, like this is not as good as 2016 Doom. So like I also was kind of like a little reluctant of like, because I really like 2016 Doom.
I hope you went in with low expectations and you ended up liking it.
Yeah.
So I am having a good time with it. It's
good.
frantic as
Look at
all
it.
hell.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's so frantic. You really do need to basically be moving all the time. And I definitely find myself like a little overwhelmed sometimes because I'm like, all right, I'm like dodging like backwards or something, but I'm like, oh shit, now I'm against a wall, and then I'm like trying to like then turn and go somewhere, but I'm getting like whacked, and you know maybe an enemy just spawned behind me while I was dashing backwards. So yeah, it gets really chaotic and frantic, but I mean it's really cool.
But then doing those brutal kills as you run up to them is really satisfying.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I think it's a well-made game. I don't think there's anything wrong like with the development.
I just felt like my flow and my experience of this game kept getting interrupted by things I didn't want to be interrupted by. Where the first game, I just felt like I was at a breakneck pace from when it started all the way through the credits, and I couldn't put it down. I loved it. This one, I remember there were times whether it was a environmental, I can't remember if there was puzzles necessarily, but something to navigate. Could have been some platforming, some combination of non-fighting things that it wanted me to do. And it just slowed down my progress, which that's probably a me issue. You know, that's probably
there's moments where like you have to like push a block, like you punch a, not even push because he's the freaking Tomb guy. Yeah, he punches a block and it like slides, and then you jump on it, and then and there is like some kind of like there is platforming, which is funny. Like picturing Doom guy like swinging off of like a beam to like then double jump somewhere is like kind of hilarious. Yeah. Like if you're like picturing him in third person. So there is that going on. But like I don't think it like feels bad. Like it feels all right. And then like grabbing onto the walls. Like sometimes I think that's actually the wonkiest as far as the platforming goes. There's kind of like the grabbable sections on the walls.
Yes.
And you have to click into the stick. But sometimes I like forget, like, oh shit, I need to click into the stick. Unless you dash into it. If you dash into it, he automatically grabs it.
We're watching so much carnage on this beat right here. It's just
but I mean
which is cool.
But that's what it's about, right? Is just the nonsense.
It is,
him grabbing like that right there.
I like how he's
it's just
I don't know if I want that stuff in my Doom.
Yeah.
You know, I am interesting that they that's why you can make a lot of these. You can make them a little bit different every single time because there is a market for people who want to, like, oh man, my Doom guy's like an acrobat, and like this is a kind of a Prince of Persia, or, kind of mirrors edgy or whatever, but like I mean, again, like, and it all feels good too, like the swinging and the grabbing and the jumping.
The guns are fun.
It might be just a me thing. I'm on Team Tim here.
Sure.
It's like it might be a me thing.
So Dark Ages is just going back to more like what you guys want, the speed of like that,
I'm
and
so
kind of a little more
about grounded speed. And
another May game, I think, right? Isn't that coming out in May? Jeez.
God, I hope not.
I think it is. Anyway.
But the guns do feel good in this.
Yeah.
They got good punchiness to it. They got secondary ability, like secondary modes where you can like, and you can choose, like when you go to upgrade it, there's two different things you can choose from as your secondary mode of shooting, which is really cool. And then like within like there's like a decent amount of like upgrading, because then there's like all these little extra like kind of things you can attach to your gun to like diminish low reload times, or like kind of the cooldowns to diminish like cooldowns and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's surprisingly a decent amount going on in the game. And then I don't actually know what the deal is with like the little hub area, because I guess I didn't play the DLC. I'm guessing the DLC leads into that for 2016 Doom.
I don't,
because you're like in this flying space fortress. It's like a spaceship fortress. And you're like
there's a lot of DLC for this one, isn't there? Like story DLC, I think.
No, but I'm saying for 2016 Doom, because I don't remember him being like getting this like this fortress spaceship.
I only
thing.
played
like,
the main game. For the life of me, I cannot remember story wise what the situation was as you wrapped it up. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was DLC related, because I vaguely remember how 2016 ended, and
I hate
it wasn't
those guys
on...
that float around like on with the those guys.
They just... I remember hearing some people complaining about that. Like, I don't want to go back to a hub area, and it's like it's not a huge deal actually. You just go there, and there's like that's kind of like where you go to unlock the stuff you can unlock.
Yeah.
I like
and then you
hub
just
areas almost always. So
yeah,
you know.
it's not offensive. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm having a good time with it. It's
Nice.
fun. It's
Nice.
brutal. It's fun. The music is obviously what it is. It's all
The
right. The
music is
music is
what it
okay.
is.
Yeah, it's the music's
Fine.
fine.
It's
Yeah,
definitely not
music's
a.
fine.
It's definitely not a major DNA factor in
Yeah,
the game.
no,
or
no, no,
anything,
no, no. It's fine. But it was Mick Gordon. He still was here, right? It was at the end of this game that he was just like, I'm
Yeah,
out.
he's out now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But that all the new trailers, the music still seems solid. So,
Nice.
Yeah. It's
um,
just metal music. Anyone can do it, Dan.
yeah, of course, absolutely, anybody,
Takes
literally
no
anybody.
artistry or skill to do
Plug and
that.
play. Yeah, you just plug it in and you just go ahead.
That's how it works. Yeah.
It's just
But
noise.
I'm gonna hop around a
yeah,
little bit, just so we don't have to have each of us do a lot of talking and then be quiet for a while. So I'll just chime in that I have this is the first week, probably since like October, that I haven't played a Red Dead Redemption game, one or two, or the DLC, all week.
Wow.
Probably
oh,
What a
man.
ride.
right. Yeah. Now that doesn't mean I'm done with it. I still want to get there. I want to finish the epilogue story, and I want to go hunting in down in the southwest area that was the first game. I'm still totally planning on doing those things. The game's very much still installed, but this week was occupied by, some other things that were happening. I will say, I played a couple demos. I didn't get any footage of this for the show right now, but we do have up on our channel, or no, it will be up on our channel, the demo for Dragonkin the Banished, which is that isometric kind of Diablo-like, comes out in like a week and a half, maybe. It comes out the first week of March. You know what? It's okay. It's fine. Like, the visuals are really cool, but there's something about games like Diablo that just do it so well, and then a few others that just really nail that isometric action gameplay, the satisfaction of when you land a move and what a special move feels like and looks like. And
Mhm.
so this has some of that, but everything feels very kind of feather lightweightish. Like there isn't a
Mm.
heft to when you're doing a big move or whatever. So I don't know if that's just me and it's just something you will get accustomed to. But I really like when when you're doing a powerful move, it feels powerful. Like it's kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about this where I do like this. It's almost Muso-like because you get these swarms of enemies that are just coming and you're just slicing through them with all these crazy attacks. The classes are pretty cool. But yeah, so I think it's worth a look for sure. There's a demo out. You can go give it a try. It's called Dragonkin. You can look it up. It comes out March 6th. But yeah, it's pretty good. And you can go check out our gameplay of it. Probably the week it comes out is when that gameplay will hit our channel if you're curious about it. The developer, as I was looking into this, now I got to look it up just to confirm, it's published by Nacon. It is the developer of, I thought it was a game that you guys would recognize, but now I can't find it. Well, anyway, so yeah, Nacon published it, and it feels like a AA game. It looks looks really
Eco
good.
Software is the developer.
Yeah. Can you see anything else they've made? For some reason, mine's not showing me anything else they've made. A couple small games, it looks like.
How to Survive.
How to Survive. Okay.
I remember actually playing the second one and thinking it was actually pretty fun. I never finished it, but
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. Looks like they did a bunch of those How to Survive games, huh?
It's been on my wish list for a bit, so I'm definitely.
How to Survive or
Dragonkin.
Dragonkin.
Yeah. Give it a try, because I think with games like this, if it feels right, you're gonna love it. If it doesn't, then it's probably not worth your time. But I will say,
Need something to fill the Drakengard hole in my heart, And Dragon, Muso, we're almost there, Tim.
getting close.
And some key ingredients here.
Some of the opening sequence reminds me a lot of like World of Warcraft thing, where you have these different clans that are clearly very different in their not just their ethnicity, like some are humans, some are orc-like or whatever, but also in their powers and their specialties. So it just reminds me a lot of World of Warcraft days back from the early 2000s. And at the beginning, you've got heroes from each clan that are joining together to stop this dragon from escaping the abyss or whatever. And so they're all teaming up, and they probably wouldn't normally, but now they have to. So I was like orcs and the humans back in the day, like, okay, cool, got it. So anyway, I think it's cool. It's got some promise. But yeah, it's a matter of that feel, and it's hard to tell too. By the way, when you get through that opening, you get to play as all four of the heroes, but then you create your own character, and you can be of any of those clans. And And then there's lots and lots of upgrading to do. You have a hub city that you get to. You can do all your upgrades. You meet people. You take missions. You go on these runs. You can team up with other people, multiplayer styles. A lot of multiplayer options for you there too. So there's a lot to it. You can rebuild the city. You can build up your city. I don't think it's like place where a building goes. I think it's more you can upgrade the city to now have a better blacksmith or whatever. I think it's that
That's cool
type of
though. I
upgrade.
like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. So you upgrade
I
your
like that.
city and those kind of things. So Dragonkin, the Banished. Yeah, not too bad. Now, Kyle, you had mentioned you had played some smaller games, or is it mostly Pirates and Knights?
It was Pirates and Knights, yeah.
Okay.
And Avowed would have been the only other one, but we kind of talked about that at the top of the
Okay.
show there. So
Okay. Well, do you want to jump in and talking about some Knights? What have you been playing? And since we already talked about Avowed.
yeah, I finally cracked the combat in that game, and got the master skill or whatever, from Tomcat or whatever, which that fight sucked. But the second I did my online combat training, I realized how many things I was doing wrong. Everybody, like Tim was saying, stop reposting. Everybody, stop using shields. Everyone stop, or at least at the beginning of the game. You'll get more stamina later, and shields will become a little more viable.
Yeah.
But stop doing everything, sidestep things, everything that you're not supposed to. The game is what it's very I know when you play a Dark Souls game, you have to kind of unlearn everything. Same for this. When you're in this perspective, you're like, oh, this is gonna play like Skyrim or something like that. Don't
don't do that.
Play this like that. Yeah, it's not gonna work out for you.
Yeah.
And once I kind of got it and it clicked, I was just like, oh, okay, I get this now. A lot of you need to feint. I need to realize on feinting and stuff like that, feinting my attacks. And now I'm just having a great time with this game.
Yeah.
That frustration of feeling like the game is really pushing you down and holding you down. I'm finally kind of seeing through that fog. And man, this game is just super cool. I've done a couple more little missions. I'm in the middle of getting my dog, which I was kind of keeping updated in the chat a lot about. I'm like, I'm gonna get these guys, these poachers, kicked my butt the last time I was here, but I'm gonna come back way stronger. These guys are
the dog mission is a long string of missions, by the way.
It is, yeah. There's I know there's a lot of the game and missions feeding into missions, kind of like you were saying with The Witcher 3, where it's I stumble across a guy who was being attacked by wolves and he was in a chair, and that ends up being the gameskeeper that another mission points me towards in this mutt thing, trying to get my dog back. But I found the gameskeeper before I was even told that the gameskeeper existed, So these are two sister quests that kind of handshake each other. That it's just so interesting to me how the game feeds into itself, and how, again, everything, it may be a vignette story, but it always feels like it's part of the world. And it
so
just
watch this right
so
here.
glowing.
The dog, especially when you're facing a group, how important he is.
Yeah,
he will completely occupy an enemy or two, especially if you level up his health.
Hidden.
And he'll just and sometimes he can even make him bleed and do damage to him. So then you can focus on someone else because doggy
run up to him while he's distracted. You can pound on that guy.
Yep.
It's super cool. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I the last thing I did was find the hermit sword. I'm gonna make that into a wedding gift, for the wedding. And now all I need to do is talk to the guy and I go to the wedding. So I'm just kind of doing a couple side missions here, even though I said I was I just need to start focusing on story. I was just well, now that I know how to do stuff.
Okay, I will tell you this: the side missions, in my opinion, and I think a lot of us say this when we fall in love with an open world game. We're like, do the side missions; they're all so good. So I stand by that too. I think they're all so good. But whether it's the wedding sequence or sequences that follow, what you do in the world and who you know will make a difference in those sequences later too. So it'll be oh, you helped so and so, so I'll trust you with this. It pulls back in. That's what makes it feel, again, another layer of that immersion of, holy crap, they know that I helped the
okay, so two guy. More side missions.
Yeah, and I think it's best to pick a path too, either blacksmith or miller. I was kind of trying to do both, but blacksmith's more honorable, miller's less. But they also have different loyalties. So over time, as you start to learn the story of the two kings, and I actually looked up the history, it's incredibly historically accurate between Wenceslas and Sigismund.
That's what they pride themselves on.
And I didn't realize how much of this history in Eastern Europe with Czech and Germany and all these other countries is so intertwined, and Hungary, all these countries were so intertwined with their politics and who was really in charge. So that kind of depends. If you think if you're going to be loyal to this side or that side, that should help guide who you support as well, which is really interesting. Um, but I will say that the potions that you make can make a difference in how successful you are in anything from combat to conversations, because you can boost all kinds of skills with the potions that you learn how to make. Or even if you don't know how to make them yet, you can find them, buy them, steal them, win them in missions, stuff like that. So, or every hotel that you buy a room in, every tavern that you decide to stay in, they usually have some free potions sitting on a bench or a shelf nearby
Yeah.
for you to grab. So
And
always super helpful.
you know what's nice about also helping the game feel real? I know, like, sometimes when I was describing this game to a friend, I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, you get hungry, you got to sleep, and you have to manage all this stuff." And they're like, "Out, I'm out. It couldn't be more out. Stop talking to me about this." You know, I'm like, man, but there's something about it. Like when you finally get to an inn and like you need to sleep, you grab a
Yeah.
room. They're like, "Hey, there's chow in the kitchen." You're like, "Oh my god, I need that right now." You
Right.
know, and you can really eat like out of the bowl like a few times and like get
You're
a
full.
like beyond full. You
Yeah.
almost get like a buff from being like extra full or whatever, and then
Uh-huh.
sleeping in a bed and getting like good sleep and stuff like it. Again, it just it wraps me so into like it
Mm-hmm.
feeling like I was on a journey. Like, oh, I got to this town right at nightfall. I'm
Right.
hungry. I'm tired. I have to do those things. They will affect me in a positive way if I do take care of those things. I know that's well, it's an immersive sim. That's what it's supposed to be, you know. But like, they're just nailing it in a way because I don't always love immersive sims. Like, they're sometimes I like them, you know. But like
Right.
this one, I really like the way that this is mechanically driven in that way, and just everything feeds into everything. It just makes it feel like I'm living in this world when I turn this game on.
And the farther you get in the game, the more perks you get, the less you'll even think about that stuff. Like every once in a while, you might have to grab, like, eat a piece of dried beef that you've got sitting in your inventory just to make sure you're not
Yeah, I was gonna ask,
hungry.
how
But
often are you even really eating and
I don't pay it
drinking?
that much.
Like,
Like what
I
Kyle
don't
said,
know.
you just grab a couple spoonfuls. Like once you pay for a tavern, and by the way, I always recommend, I know it takes a while to get enough money, but just ask them if you can stay long term and you can buy a permanent room there. That way you always have a
Oh,
save point. And all
I
those
didn't know that.
chests that are like infinite magical Harry Potter style chests where you can put everything
Yeah.
into it and it never has capacity, that stuff will carry over to whatever other room that
Oh, any
has a
chest, so
chest.
all
mm,
the chests are
They're
connected.
all
I love
magically
that.
connected Harry
I love
Potter
magic.
magic style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mary Poppins
Yep.
chests.
So,
Yeah.
for example, if you do decide to steal, or maybe you get in a fight and you loot some stuff, and for some reason it's still considered stolen, doesn't seem fair, whatever, but you're spotted with it, they'll go after you. If it was stolen in the area, they'll recognize you. That's the sword we've been looking for, and so they'll come after you. So just throw it into your chest. Wait for several in-game days. It can be up to a couple weeks if it's a really high-priced piece of gear. You have to let it sit there for a while, or just travel far away, and they won't know about it. But anyway, like elements like that, immersion, yes, but also really cool gameplay mechanics of you can steal if you want. You just got to be careful. And by the way, there's
yeah.
perks with that. There's thievery perks where you can make it lose its stolen status way earlier, or you can maybe trick uh, the law enforcement quicker or more consistently. So there's lots of that kind of stuff. Lots of perks across the board. Everything
Yeah.
with your dog to your horse to speech. And so, yeah,
Well,
really.
and I
It,
love the outfit system as well, where it's just like
yeah.
I know I'm gonna be in town a bit, so I collected an outfit that's kind of got like good conversational perks and good like blacksmithing and alchemy perks or whatever.
Nice. Good
So now
call.
when I'm in town, like I can switch to like that outfit,
Mm-hmm.
and like it means something to the world. It's not just like an aesthetic thing, you know, like Cyberpunk kind of turned it into an all aesthetic thing where it's like, yeah, it's just all about looking cool in this game, you know. But in previous versions of that game, you had like stats attached to like your to your gear and everything like that. And I like that they take it an extra step forward and
Yep.
like again, and they do this in Skyrim. This is not, a new thing or whatever. It's just the way that the game handles it is very cool. I like putting on gear that like reflects what I'm about to do in the game. Hey, I'm about to go out adventuring. Now I'm going to put on my armor and stuff like that. But I don't want to walk around town like that. You know, I want
Yeah.
to. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
in conversations, and I want to look a little more noble or whatever while talking
Yep.
to people and trying to get their favor. And it's just like it's just so. This has got to be in the top 5 most immersive games I think I've ever played.
Yeah.
Like it's so incredibly immersive.
It is, and some people I think take that as a negative, I, which bums me out because if I hear immersive, I'm not talking about like Rust, where it's like, hey, if
Yeah,
you got hurt yesterday, your character is slow for a week. Like it's not that. That's not.
yeah.
That's not what it is.
That's too much.
It's
That's
got so
yeah.
many of these nice, convenient video game elements, like the magical chest in every tavern and any
Yep.
room that is yours. For now and forevermore, you can go access that and either put all your crafting materials in there. Like you'll be surprised how much all your alchemy stuff, if you're really into that and gather a ton of herbs, even if you dry them, it fills up your weight capacity super quick when you have a stack of
Yeah.
like 100 of each type. Throw them all in that chest, and you can go access it anytime you're in town and want to do some alchemy. Run back to the tavern, get access to your chest that way. So it gives you lots of like nice video game perks, including the perk system that's in there. Your horse has a ton of capacity too, by the way. As soon as you get a
Mhm.
horse, which by the way you can get, I didn't realize this from the first game. You had a horse called Pebbles,
Yeah.
which I guess was kind of like his main horse. That horse is in Samine. If you go to the town of Samine, which is where the wedding's going to be, and if you do the right conversational things with the guy who runs that horse trader thing, you can convince him to let you just get on that horse, and it's yours.
And I failed all those conversation checks, so I had to buy my horse back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I ended up
Well, that's
trading it
annoying.
real quick, kind of like hot tip for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. There are two horses that if you ride them, maybe there's more. There's two for sure. That if you ride them enough in the game, it'll activate a specialized hidden perk for that horse, and their stats skyrocket. And that's
Oh, wow.
Pebbles is one of them because Pebbles
Oh,
is
I didn't
not
realize.
Pebbles is not a great horse. It's okay.
Yeah, I heard that Pebbles is not a great horse, but
No,
it can become
but
one.
if you ride it, I forget the amount of distance. It's like a lot of kilometers in game. It'll all of a sudden give you. I forget what the name of the perk is. I missed it because I already traded in for a better horse, which I feel bad about now. But apparently, Pebbles is one of the best horses in the game if you hang on to him.
Pebbles, I'm keeping you, Pebbles. You're
Yeah.
mine, Pebbles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
most
ride
videos
it.
I
Just
saw,
ride it back and forth, man.
most tip videos I saw were like, get rid of Pebbles as
They're
quick as
wrong.
possible. Yeah,
They're
all right,
wrong.
cool. I'm glad you said
He
something.
has a good speed and amazing capacity. I'm talking like I think 3, 4.
I need you to be a mobile like capacity center.
Yeah,
That's all I need
he's
to be,
your
Pebbles.
walking. Yeah, he's your moving
you're my
chest.
walking bank. Yeah.
Mhm. And then there's another horse that you get kind of after. There's a whole sequence of things that happen with the wedding, and there's some stuff that happens afterwards. And after that string of kind of linear-ish quests, you have an option, which I took because it was a slightly improved horse and cooler-looking horse, to swap it in. So I did, and then of course I found out later I should have kept Pebbles. So I felt horrible, but going back to Samine as I was exploring some more, Pebbles is there again for sale. You can't talk the guy into giving it to you again, but you can go buy Pebbles again if you want to. Because when you
Okay.
traded them in, they gave them back to the horse trader, basically.
That's cool. Yeah.
So not gone forever. If I decide to go back and
Third time's a
get
charm, Pebbles.
Yeah, I might.
Yeah.
Plus, the name Pebbles is so funny for a horse.
It is.
But
Yeah.
That's a good name.
yeah. But I'm right there with you, Kyle. Like the combat has been an interesting journey for me. I went from like, okay, this tutorial makes so much more sense. The first game I really struggled and it was so
Yeah.
janky, but I understand what they're trying to do. It just didn't seem like it worked the way I wanted it to. But in this game, after the tutorial where you're doing a training with Hans, I was like, dude, this combat feels great. I'm gonna be great. And then I proceeded to get beat in like every
Yeah.
fight.
Everything. Yeah.
I was like, is there no fight you're allowed to win in this? Are you supposed to lose every? You know when you fight a boss that's too hard, you're like, I think I'm supposed to lose this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is a scripted loss.
That's
yeah.
how it felt. And I started just kind of putting in the time to figure out whether it was YouTube videos or just experimenting with stuff as I was playing, combination of what weapons to use. Maybe I need to stop trying to parry everything. Maybe just block to build up some stamina. And then because they also have stamina. So they'll wear out their stamina trying to attack you. Then let me try one of these combos that's in the menu. I haven't really tried these. Oh my gosh, combos work great. Took off like half his health once he was tired. Like you start to realize, oh, they want you to do this stuff. And then there was even like a heavy weapons combo because I had an axe that was really good. And I unlocked a heavy weapons combo where if you can pull it off, it's just 3 quick hits. Then he'll bonk them in the face. And not only does it stun them, knock them back, he'll use the butt of the axe at the end of the combo and just hit him right in the face. And it
Nice.
stuns them majorly. And all of a sudden, those little moments made me go, "Oh, I think I really like this combat." It just started to grow over time. And of course, as you talked about with Tomcat, who's a trainer in the Nomad camp, you get Master Strikes, and it's a game changer for sure. If you use swords, only if you use swords.
Yeah. Right.
But the idea there is you're watching the enemy's stance, right? They have there's 4 stances most enemies have: left, right, up, or down. And they're either going to try to hit you low, high, or from the left to right. And with Master Strike, you basically just go the opposite of that. And in that parry window, you hit attack instead of parry, and you'll hit them for major damage. And they can't block it if you do it correctly.
Yeah, and like again, and that's the money shot is that like they
Yeah.
can't block it and it'll always hit, and you don't have to worry about if you're already pressing a button to perfect guard, might as well just switch that out for
Yep.
an attack. And boy, again, it's changed everything.
And if their
Like
health is
I
low
could just
enough, the finishing move that you do with that is so satisfying.
well, and absolutely, yeah. And what else is cool about it is that like as every fight goes on, they do get worse. If you just get a couple hits on them, they're just worn out. Their
They'll give up
swings get a little more.
sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, their swings will get little more
Yep.
sloppier. Maybe one of their arms are like kind of dangling. So it's just like if it's a battle of attrition, where you're trying to wear each other out, like, and you're patient. The battle will just get easier if you
That's right.
just take it slow, and then you can get more bold as you get more used to the
Yep.
combat system. But like taking like the peck, like I'm just gonna hit you every couple,
Yeah.
moves or whatever, like that is a really good way to get your foot in the door to this
I
combat.
agree.
And I think I was just really pushing it too much
Yep.
and stamina, gassing myself out by like having shields on me and too heavy of armor and stuff like that in every single slot. And it's just
Yep.
like you just got to move everything around until you got that stamina, because stamina is more important than health. It just is. It's more important
Mm.
than defense. It's more important than everything.
Yeah.
If you have stamina, like you'll
That'll
block a
absorb the
lot.
hit.
Yeah, you'll block and absorb most of those hits. But the
Mhm.
second you're out of stamina, yeah, I mean,
I think even
you
in this
die
little
as
clip
quickly as
here,
they
this
do.
guy with the red, once your stamina's gone and then he hits you, I think your health.
Oof.
Yeah, look at
Yeah,
that.
look, that's a chunk of health from just one hit too.
Oof.
Boy,
That's
if it
once your
gets hit one more
stamina's
time, it's
gone.
done.
And then
Like
that is now the new max for your stamina, whatever your health
yep,
comes down to. So
yeah, exactly. So
Uh,
your stamina cannot go
what's
beyond
the
your health.
purple?
the purple is their health.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Oh, I
whoever
didn't
you're
know that
focused,
actually.
whoever
No, I
you're
said
focused
yep.
on.
Like I knew what that. No, I had no idea.
Yeah. So if
That's
you switch who
so
you're
good to know.
targeting, that'll show you what health they have left.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And see how right there, as he was almost dead, the guy was trying to give up. But then this
Yeah.
player, whoever's playing,
No,
stabbed him.
he's got loot on him. You kill everybody.
One other thing that's
They
cool
attack
that
you kill
took
them.
me forever to figure out is, I'm sorry we're talking about so much, but I can't help it. I love this game.
No, who cares? Like
these-
this is the best part is it was when two people play the same game, we can have a real conversation about something instead of me just
I agree.
talking at you guys about Yakuza.
I agree.
Like
And Dan, I
there's a
think
back and
you'll
forth
like
going
this
on
when
here.
you.
Oh, I absolutely.
I
Yeah,
think
I know I will.
And you can even
This-
from the visuals, like you're gonna like the visuals. We didn't even talk about the story, but the story and voice acting is really top notch. And I'm not trying to oversell it, but it is like CD Projekt Red levels of really good voice acting and writing. Yes, some recycled NPC models for sure, and some voices that you're like,
Sure.
wow, I've heard that
That's
guy.
a big game, so
Yes. So those things aside, the main characters very unique armor, unique weapons, unique personalities and voices, and the cinematics just I'm already wanting to go back and re-experience some of these epic moments, and I know there's more as I wrap up the game, but really really good. But there's these attacks that I know the game told me about feint attacks. I didn't know what it meant, so I used to try to like just have my guy aiming to the right and then quickly switch to the left and swing, and it wasn't working. I was like, feint attacks don't work. They lied to me. I didn't realize you had to hold in a charge attack one direction, and then before you let go, switch to another direction and then let go. And that's a feint
So
attack.
if you're left and you hold, you put
Yeah.
out, and then you switch the joystick as you release, and like he'll faint. Yeah, it's
I didn't
It took me a
know
second
that.
to figure that out as well.
Now,
Yeah.
some enemies are good enough, they'll block it, but they won't block it every time. And a lot of those hits will start to get through. It's a great way to chip away, like you said, chip away at health, learning how to do feint attacks, learning how, like, once you unlock combos, like, actually train with characters in the game that offer you training. Just say, can you teach me something? And not only could you possibly learn a combo, your skill in that, area might just go up, but you might learn some of these combos are crazy good with swords, with heavy weapons, with pole arms. Some of them, and so whichever one you want to focus on, you try all of them, and they're all, pretty legit. I will say there's like duels and stuff where it's all about just essentially a long sword, sometimes a sword and shield. So it's always good to have some sword ability for some story moments. But also, they don't make you win everything. I learned that too, whether it's a dice game or a duel, especially if it's part of a story. When you're at the wedding, there's some opportunities for both those things. It doesn't really matter if you win all of it. Part of me wanted to stop and reload because I wasn't winning. But then I was like, oh, they actually just said like, hey, you fought as good as you could. No one could beat that guy, but no big deal. Here's your reward. And, you can, let's go have a drink. You're probably feeling pretty sore after that one. It didn't affect the story. And they kind of move along.
Yeah, but also it's nice that they recognized it too. It's just like, hey, you lost, but no big deal. Let's grab a drink real quick.
Yes.
Sad eyes.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So anyway, one other thing, I don't know if you've done this yet, Kyle, but if you go back to your original camp where things kind of hit the fan right at the beginning of the game,
Uh-huh.
there's a little cave back there that has a way to die in it that
Uh-huh.
lands on a 1 like all the time.
Oh, I don't think I grabbed that, but I
Yeah,
know the area
and
you're
it's
talking
still
about.
there.
Yeah.
I went back to check, and there's a couple bandits, so you have to take them out. There's probably 3 or 4 bandits. They're not super strong, but yeah, you might have to pick them off one by one,
Okay.
and then just go back, or you can just sneak without fighting them. Maybe sneak back into a little cave behind where you played the guy at the very beginning for the ring
Mm-hmm.
with dice.
Yeah.
Right behind him, there's a little cave, and you just have to have a medium lockpick skill, and then you can get a free weighted die, which is a 1 like
Nice.
every time. So, which
I
is
still
awesome.
don't understand the lock picking, but it's all right. I'm not dwelling on
I
it.
keyboard and mouse is the way to go with that one.
Yeah, that's what you told me last time. I'm just like, all right.
Yeah. There are skill checks, very D&D like, as you can see here with that clip. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's even a perk you can unlock that will add right beside this little icon with each option. It'll tell you easy, medium, or hard to tell you like what the difficulty is. And the scale is from 0 to 30 with your skills. So if you're in the teens, you can probably handle most medium ones. If you're in the 20s, you can probably handle a lot of the hard ones.
I'm trying to get my speech up. I like to play these games silver tongue, but like they're not making it. You
Yeah.
really have to engage with it. I just go around
You
talking
have to
to
ask
everybody.
people stuff. You have all these
Yeah,
options of
yeah.
like, tell me more
You
about
ask
yourself.
everybody everything,
Yeah.
yeah, and like it gets your speech craft up, and I'm always take the opportunity
And
to do that
reading
because
books
I'm
gets
still
your
failing
speech up.
plenty of speech checks, but it
Any
does feel really good when you pass one.
any books you get, read them. Some of them you can study
Oh,
because
okay,
they're for
okay.
skills, and you can like sit on the bed and study, and your energy won't go down too much because you're sitting down, and you can study it for a number of hours. That'll make a skill go up, and your scholarship and speech will all go up. And then there's lore books that you can just open and just kind of quickly thumb through. Makes your speech and scholarship also go up just reading books. So again,
Nice.
immersion. That's what it is. To me, that's
Immersion.
that's the good kind of immersion. You know, the blacksmith
Yeah.
thing, the alchemy, the those kind of pieces are really good. The way that you can choose to be a
Agreed.
thief or super honorable, like it's not the kind of thing where you have to go to the bathroom and press A to poop or whatever. Like it's not that. That's not what they're doing to you. So
But they should.
They should. Last thing I'll say about it, I got to the second area this past week, and I've been exploring that like crazy and doing this again. Another wave of awesome characters and missions.
When
And
you told
stuff
me there
that
was a
comes up.
second area, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like the first area is so big, and I haven't even uncovered all of it yet. Like it's
Yeah.
insane.
And
how
there
much
is
there
a perk in scholarship if you get it high enough where you can just unlock the whole map and it'll put all the points of interest on there for you.
Whoa. Okay.
And
Wow.
they'll be grayed out and it won't necessarily give you all the details. You still have to go to it, but it'll like
Yeah.
it'll unfog the whole map and you can see everything and
Cool.
decide where you want to go.
Love that.
But you don't have to unlock that. If you like exploring, do that too, you know?
I'm a fan of fog of war on the map. I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like it.
I get it. I get it. But anyway, there's a massive city, and it's one of the coolest in-game open world cities. Again, since I've played stuff like The Witcher 3, it's very involved, very detailed, really grimy and real feeling. And stores open and close. There's merchants yelling at you. There's people that hate that you're riding your horse through town. There's shops that have secret back doors. If you steal the keys, you could come rob them later if you want to do that. Or
Sweet.
everything is you rob someone, by the way, and they'll come out the next day without I think Kyle talked about this, without their clothes or without their weapon or whatever you stole is gone now. So stuff like
I
that.
love that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like systemic systems to like crash a game
Yeah.
for a game that
Yeah.
hasn't crashed on me yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just it's a very stable game
That's
on
right.
PlayStation 5. Which
Looking at you, Todd Howard.
I've had a lot of bad experiences with like big games kind of crashing.
Well, the
on
first
the
game
PS5.
launched in a mess.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, technically speaking, it was a mess. Now, it still
was,
worked for a
yeah.
lot of people, but it was just janky and had a lot of glitches.
Yeah, the heart is what won everybody,
And
everyone
I
really
just
liked it.
haven't had that. I've had a few like weird open world moments. The weirdest one was when I got up in the middle of the night from a tavern because I was supposed to do something in the middle of the night. I forget what I was doing. And I walked downstairs, and none of the NPCs had started they all have like assignments. Like you can tell they're all programmed to go do things or go to sleep or whatever. They were all just standing at their. It was like full tavern, full of people all just standing, and I was like, "This is terrifying."
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just standing, not moving, not talking. So like I've had weird moments like that where just a simple reload and they all were back to normal. But anyway, yeah, dude, it's crazy immersive. The story is really good. It's very simple, but it's really really good. And then it becomes kind of complex with who's really in charge, who should you support. There's no black and white here, by the way. There's not really like a clearly good, clearly bad. It's more of, are you, I don't know, are you going to switch sides? Are you honorable? And it's not really dishonorable to go the other way. I don't know. It's very interesting. You get to decide.
A gray area.
A lot of gray area, which again brings me back to the whole Witcher, Skyrim, all those kind of games that give you a ton of player choice, which I think is awesome. So anyway, that's enough about this game. It's so good. I absolutely love it, and I'm going to keep talking about it. But I'm also going to try to focus some of that talk into some videos here and there that we'll put on the channel just about this, because there's some stuff that I've kind of stumbled upon in the game or watched others or read guides that helped me in the game that I think are helpful to people as they play through it. I will say it's good to have a pretty decent couple of dice for this wedding sequence. And like you're doing, Kyle, you're doing it the right way. Get some good speech, because this is almost all speech checks. There's some other checks too, but having good survival helps. You can heal people better and whatever, but speech is almost always the best thing.
I like being able to talk my way out of anything, and a lot of games make that too easy. And I like that this game is like you just can't. You're not a smarty pants.
Yeah.
Like the second this game starts, I like that.
The journey from before the wedding all the way till the second area is truly, like, I was just shocked at how good it was. The storytelling, the crazy twists and turns that happen. It's really good. I had no idea this game was going to be this good. I thought it'd be fun, but I didn't think it'd be this good. So very, very impressed.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Kudos to them. Well, Dan, let's shift back over to you. Let's talk about a game that, this is a video from Mortismo Gaming. Let's talk about a game that sadly has no more development team behind it. But the game itself is really pretty. Visions of Mana has great music, as we learned during our Game of the Year debates. Really cool tunes. So you're diving back into this one, right?
Yeah, so I literally, so the last week when we recorded, I then went and it actually finished Signalis, because I don't know if you guys remember. I was like, it kind of ends in like a way it's like the end question mark.
Got it.
And in fact, yeah, question mark indeed, because then you like continue, and then it's like, oh, okay, so like we still have a couple more hours here. So then I finished it. Signalis, by the way, just fantastic.
Yeah.
Definitely, like I had mentioned, a lot of like back and forth with inventory, and then like some of the puzzly elements can be kind of like, wait, like what exactly do you want me to do here? But that's just like a couple little nitpicks. Signalis is fantastic if you love horror games, and especially if you like that classic Resident Evil like PS1 era type of stuff. Please play Signalis.
This is not Signalis, people who are watching, but
yeah, this is not Signalis. Okay. But I finished that, and then now I'm finally diving into this. Yeah, so spooky. So I mean, obviously, obvious is obvious. The visuals are insane. Like, this game is beautiful. It's like this is modern day cell shading, like the cell shading that we started to see back in like the PS2 era of games. Like, this is like what this is, and this game, its DNA does actually, speaking of PS2, it feels like it would be something that would have released in the PS2 era. Like your level 5 RPG, your Dark Cloud 2, your Rogue Galaxy, kind of like in that realm.
Love Rogue Galaxy. Oh
yeah. So it kind of like feels like akin to that, which is kind of cool. So if you're like a PS1, PS2 RPG fan, I think you would enjoy this. Combat, actually, so the combat's not like bad, but it's funny that, you know, people insulting Dragon Age, the Veilguard, and be like, oh, this kind of like looks like plain action combat. It's like there was actually a little more depth to Veilguard than there is here. Here it's like you got your normal attack, heavy attack, and that changes depending on what elemental you have equipped. So if you notice, the characters, like, sometimes they have different outfits. It's because depending on what elemental you have equipped, whether it's like fire or you know, water, wind, etc., you're gonna visually look different. You're gonna have a different weapon. It's gonna do different things. But yeah, it's basically square and triangle, normal, heavy attacks, and then you can level up like within the elemental and get some extra abilities. Like, I can shoot a fireball, or I can, you know, a chunk of ice and stuff like that. So can you control
other characters in your party? Are they always?
You could switch. Okay. Yeah, you could switch between them.
Is there any advantage to doing so, or is it just more preference?
I guess it's just different play style, because like I for me usually with these games I do tend to, even though it's giving me the option, I'm playing the main character. Like that's mainly who I'm playing
Yeah,
as,
I'm with you.
which is Val in this one. He's the one with the reddish hair. But if I want to use like one of the other characters because she has a scythe, she has the water elemental, and her weapon is scythe, which is pretty sick. And I have her equipped with healing and some of the ice things. So I'll like switch to her sometimes, but so yeah, that's just really that's the main advantage. Just kind of a little bit of a different weapon and different movement and stuff. But um, yeah, I'm probably about 10-11 hours into the game, and we're starting to get to like the good meaty parts of the story. So these two characters right here, this is like basically the opening of the game, and you kind of are getting the gist of like. So when I first spoke about the game, I don't know if you remember, the whole thing is like your Val is a soul guard, and he's basically like the bodyguard that's helping the alms. So you get chosen to be an alm of whatever element it is, to go to the mana tree and basically sacrifice yourself. Like
Right.
that's what the alms are doing. They're like,
Bummer.
we're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna give our souls to the mana tree so the entire world doesn't fall into chaos. Yippee!
They've always said the best cultures have human sacrifice, is what I've heard.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, very. I am at Setsuna-y. That's kind of the story of that game as well. Yeah, we're gonna go on a pilgrimage to kill you. And
she's like, all right, I'll go.
Yeah.
But there's like in this game, there's such an aura of like everyone's like your family's like proud of you because you were chosen as the alm.
Yeah, they're all
so
saying it'd be an honor to be the alm. Like even right here in
Yeah.
this little clip, they're like, we all want to be the alm. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, like people want to be chosen to be like, I'm helping the world.
So
sick. And like there's been now a couple of characters that have kind of been like are we sure this is really okay? Like is this not kind of weird and not normal, everybody? And they're like, well, I mean, maybe. So like now, it's kind of getting to that point in the story where you meet people that kind of are questioning like this entire dynamic of you sacrificing yourself to the mana tree.
Tradition versus knowledge type of stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And then this part here, so this part here just happened like a couple hours ago. So that this is like a big like turning point of like something happens here. And now we're kind of we're continuing on our journey, but things happen. And yeah, it's taken a little while to get to like the good meaty chunk of the game, but you meet most of the party up until this point. I think there's only one more character that I have to recruit. There's a little like girl that there that I think she has like green hair. I think she's the last recruitable character. But yeah, I mean I am enjoying the game. It's beautiful.
That's
the
Adam
music
Warlock
is very
right there. See that guy is? Yeah.
That is Adam Warlock. Yeah, I don't even know who this guy is.
That's Louise from Metaphor.
Yes, true. Yes, yeah.
It's always Louise.
It's always Louise.
Or blonde guy from Berserk. Isn't there a blonde guy from Berserk?
There is, Griffith.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the visuals are fantastic. The music is very pretty. It's very whimsical. The game feels good. Like even though the combat is simple, like it's smooth. It feels good.
Mm-hmm.
The targeting's a little wonky. Like you want to like target and then always kind of have a camera kind of shifting behind, right? And it doesn't really quite do that, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
So like
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You kind of have to play with the camera a bit more than really than I feel like you should have to, but it feels good. It's smooth. Like the combat is smooth. And
nice.
And yeah, I mean again, the story is takes a little while to start getting to the good chunky stuff like oh okay, like sacrificing and like we're questioning things and there's like there's some like roadblocks now in front of us that we have to like bypass because it's not just a simple we're getting from point A to point B and everything's going swimmingly. So but yeah, I am enjoying it. It bums me out hard that this team again was put together and then just demolished.
Yeah.
That was NetEase also, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Cool, man.
No, not
hey,
cool.
Big bummer,
Yeah.
NetEase.
You guys are bumming me out.
Just
this feels like a good like building block, like starting like, oh, okay, you got like the engine, this game is gorgeous, and like they could have done another mana game and like built on this, and kind of really done like a 2.0, like really smoothed out the edges, I feel. And well, that's not gonna happen. So
yeah, that is a bummer. But I'm glad that you're enjoying this game. I've always been intrigued by the visuals, and after our music episode last month, by the music of this game. The combat looks like, yes, simple. Maybe a tad repetitive, but that doesn't mean it's not fun. It does look like it's a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe at some point I'll.
I like the comparison of the PS2 era. Of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
As soon as you
what-
said that,
that's
that
my
clicked.
bread and butter.
Yeah, the heart of it very much feels like something that would come from that era for sure.
Like Ark the Lad and like all these like games that don't exist anymore. You know, like all these.
Ark the
action
Lad.
RPGs.
Oh my
Remember
gosh.
that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Now that's a throwback right there.
Yeah.
it is.
All right. Well, I think we have enough time. If you guys have time to play a quick round of video game 20 questions before we bounce out of here. You guys good with
Yes.
that? Want to try it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What's
So-
the fastest we've done it, Kyle? I think the last one was
Have
pretty
we
quick,
done
right?
it? Did we ever complete one?
Yes, you did.
We have. We definitely have.
All right. So you got Shadow of the Colossus in 13, which I think was
Okay.
13 plus the win. Plus you got it. You did not get Batman Arkham Asylum. I don't know who was there for that, but that was a loss. You got Mario Odyssey in 10. That might have been your best one.
Ooh,
Oh, okay. All
there
right.
you go.
You got Chrono Cross, but it took you 19
Ooh.
because that
We
was
got
released
it, hey,
in the year
we got it
2000.
in.
So it was a tough one.
Yeah, we got
you got
edged.
DMC, Devil May Cry in 16, and most recently you got Final Fantasy Tactics in 11. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
Average is okay then.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
too
yeah,
shabby.
not bad.
Only one loss, I think, on the current gen podcast squad so far. Now, of course, we don't do this anywhere near every week or every month for that matter, but so far we've done pretty well. So let's jump into this one. I've got a game selected. You guys know the rules. You can only ask yes or no questions. To me, you get 20 questions, and then you can make a guess at the very end. The guess doesn't have to count as a question. But once you guess, it's over. So don't do what my kids do. And I'm like, let's play 20 questions. I'm thinking of an animal. They're like, tiger, lion, kangaroo. I'm like, no, that's not how this game works.
It's like,
Like,
that's not. Yeah.
ask me about it. You're taking all the fun out of it.
It rhymes with Schmarnold Schmorcher.
Predator.
All right. So I will keep track here. And you guys, as soon as you're ready, go for it.
I like to get the date out of the way first. So should we just ask if it came out in 1999 or before?
Of course.
Let's ask that. 1999 or before? Did this come out?
Yes.
Old game. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Should we
Start guessing
ask,
games.
So date,
ask about like the big one? Like, is it?
we could try to even try to
Sony,
condense the
Nintendo.
window even more. We could say like
Yeah.
1990 and after.
Did this come out? Did this game come out after 1990? Would you say that's a fair question?
You asking me or Dan?
No. Damn. Is that a good? Is that a good
Oh,
way to
yeah,
phrase
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Did this game come out after 1990?
Yes.
All right. So
Yeah.
9
We
years.
got the
We got a
10-year window.
9-year, yeah. 10 years. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we narrow it down more to the dev, or not the dev, but like the publisher? Like, was this an exclusive game? How about that? Is that a good question?
Okay. Yes. Was this an exclusive game?
Exclusive to a console. specifically.
Yes.
So, okay.
Okay.
So not PC. So, we can.
we can ask if it was Sony, or was this a Sony video game?
No.
So probably
So,
Nintendo, maybe
Nintendo.
Sega. Nintendo or Sega. Should we just burn 2 questions and see which one it is? Or
When was Xbox out? Original Xbox. Was that-
2001, I think.
Okay.
We have to bring our own knowledge in. I can't. Tim's not gonna answer the
Yeah.
question.
Okay, so
I think 2001. Yeah.
Yeah, because possibly Sega or Nintendo. Okay.
Should we just
Yeah,
ask?
maybe
if it's a Sega
You could just
game?
narrow it down even more.
Yeah. Is this a Sega exclusive game?
No. Well, no. But are you talking about published or developed? So that's kind of a freebie.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
no, blanket no for that anyway.
Yeah.
But for this
okay.
question moving forward, it's good to know if you mean published.
Okay.
or developed.
Yeah. Okay. So, is this a Nintendo exclusive? Lock in.
Yes.
Okay. Nintendo exclusive. All right. 1990 to
So-
1999.
So that's SNES and 64.
Yeah.
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 'Cause then after that was GameCube. GameCube would be in.
Should we close in on the console then?
Just to be clear, you were asking if it's exclusive to a Nintendo console, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You weren't asking me about like development or published.
No, not development
Yeah.
or anything like
Just-
that. No.
Yeah, if it was just only
Okay.
on a Nintendo console.
Just making sure I answered the right question.
No, that's yeah.
I mean, because I'm pretty sure GameCube was early 2000s, so yeah, it would be Super Nintendo or N64. So, I mean, we could narrow it down even
Yeah.
further.
Was this game on the Super Nintendo?
No.
So Nintendo, maybe. Okay.
So,
Genre?
well, actually,
Maybe
hold on.
Uh-oh.
I'm talking about
Game
consoles. Yeah, I
Boy.
was gonna say
Yeah. There's
handhelds.
Game Boys and handhelds, and yeah.
We and usually, I mean, relatively, handheld games were handheld. Console was console at that time. There wasn't so much crossover. So we
Yeah.
could ask if it was console. Well, we already did ask if it was console, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if in my mind I would have answered like it. The Game Boy is probably a console, but I don't know how Tim would answer that.
All right. So, all right. So, was this on a? All right. Did this release on a handheld?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So probably Nintendo.
Nintendo,
Proper.
64.
The Famicom, or the 64. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe we should switch to genre. We're running a lot of questions here. Should we
Sure.
switch to genre? This is an RPG.
If I've been keeping track correctly, then we're at 7. That was 7. The 7th
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Is this an RPG?
No.
Is this a platformer?
Let me look at the official.
Ooh, this,
No.
so this
No.
No.
Okay. So it's one of those wonky ones that it's like.
Is this considered a 3D game?
Yes.
Like in the third dimension? Okay, so N64
Okay.
most likely.
That's 10.
Oh, we could ask first person versus third person.
Yeah.
Is this a first person game?
No.
Okay.
So third person, N64 3D game. We could ask like maybe specific things, like if there's shooting in it, or
if it's an ongoing franchise or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I like that. Do you shoot in this game? Is there shooting?
Yes.
Okay. So third person shooting on N64.
Yeah. Blast Corps.
I don't think.
Harvest Moon. Vector Man 64.
Dude, Vector Man made the crap. No. I can't think of anything.
I can't really either. What a pickle this is. Maybe we go franchise. Maybe we ask.
I can't even think of a third person like something with shooting that's in third person perspective on the N64.
And we just said, to be fair, is there shooting? So you might be a ship in this game. We can maybe ask, do you play as like a humanoid or something like that? Yeah. Do you play as a humanoid in this game?
Yes.
Okay, so not a ship, you're a person. That's
a human character pew-pewing.
I was thinking, like, is it Star Fox? Like we were just making Star Fox jokes earlier. You were humanoid people
64.
Shooting things.
Dude, I cannot think.
Is this part of an ongoing franchise today?
That's a tough one. I'm going to give you, this is just my way of giving you a little help too.
Okay.
IP, yes.
Okay.
Franchise for this particular game, no. If that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense. It's just super not helpful. It makes sense though.
Because if I say no, then I think that might mislead you completely.
Okay, no, it's fair and just. Boy, what a pickle this is. Yeah,
I'm stuck on the N64 third person with pew-pewing.
Yeah.
Because like if it was first person, I'd be like, oh well, then it's GoldenEye. But that's
sure. The Mission Impossible game was third
although
person.
there was a third person 007 game, but that was on PS2, right?
Yeah, so, Everything or Nothing. Yeah, it was on PS2. Great game, by the way. Third person shooting.
Could ask maybe
part of an IP that exists.
I was trying to think if it's like maybe more modern or like sci-fi or something like that, like.
Or is it like Banjo? No, that'd be platforming. Diddy Kong would be platforming. Donkey Kong 64's platforming.
Hmm.
What was it? What did you just say? What?
Like as far as like the setting, like if it's sci-fi or like
Yeah,
modern or
yeah. Go ahead and word that in your way. Yeah, I like that.
is this is the setting of this leaning into sci-fi?
Yes.
Okay.
Jet Force Gemini.
I couldn't remember the name, but I was thinking that. Is that like where you're kind of like almost like a boy with the Mega Man-ish armor, sort of?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you shoot aliens in this game?
Yes.
I don't like the tone. I don't like the tone.
Yes. Oh, they're illegal alien. No, I'm just
Oh my
God. Wow, yeah.
because that's where my head was going. I just couldn't remember the name of the
Jet
game.
Force. I don't know any more about it. I played that game and
I
I
don't
don't
either.
remember much about
I
it.
never played it. I never played it.
Oh, it probably isn't it either, and we're just obsessing over it because it fits the bill right now.
But
Yeah.
I mean, there was aliens in
I've
that,
got you
and it
checked
was third
16,
person.
unless I missed one. You might have gotten a bonus one, but I think you're at 16.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of where my head was going. Was that game? I never
Just
played
remember
it.
Jet
so
Force,
my
Jet Force
hint
Gemini is not an
answer-
IP, is not
There you go.
that
That was my-
around
that was
today.
my hint
Yeah,
answer
that is
earlier.
not around today. So
Okay.
in any form or fashion.
So what else was there that was sci-fi? Third person.
Part of an IP. Sci-fi. Perfect Dark, but that's first person.
Yeah.
Crap. That is sci-fi. Fits a lot of the bills and fit the most important one.
So I don't know enough about N64.
I thought I knew plenty. Yeah, I can't think of what it would be. Trying to think of another question you could ask.
You got 4 more, and then a guess.
I don't even have a guess.
Is this game considered a classic? You know, like objectively, as it look back on, like yeah, that's a good one.
I don't think so. Not by everybody.
Okay, not a universal love.
Mm-mm. But by some for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kyle.
There was a Castlevania 64 game, but you don't really shoot in that game.
Yeah, you don't shoot in that. And also, no aliens in that, right?
No aliens, not sci-fi. Duh. Yeah, the big ones. Yeah, I'm out of like sci-fi.
Was
games.
there like the movie series
Alien? Was
there that in N64?
I don't know. I was thinking of Shadow of the Empire, but that was on PC as well. I was like, there's a Star Wars game where it's sci-fi, you shoot people, it's third person.
Okay.
That was on PC though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
Well, to be clear, you did ask me if it's a console exclusive, so I just answered that it's exclusive to a console, but that was not including like PC or mobile or whatever else.
Oh, okay. So it is a console exclusive, which Shadow of the Empire did only come out on there. It is not remembered as a classic, but it is to some. It could be Shadow of the Empire.
So, like for example, Ghost of Tsushima is a console exclusive to the PS4.
Yeah, but it came out on PC.
But it came out on PC.
I get what you mean.
But it's
Avowed is an Xbox exclusive, but it came out on PC.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there?
I'm thinking Shadow of the Empire. Is this part of a Star Wars franchise?
Yes.
It's Shadow of the Empire. Let's lock it in.
Well, so okay.
What is that one? You got one question left. So.
What is Shadow of the Empire? Because I'm not remembering.
Shadow of the Empire is Dash Rendar. Opens up on Hoth, you know.
Are you pew-pewing in that one?
Yeah, after you fly a plane, you land and like you run around in Dash Rendar shooting people. It's got like a notoriously hard train level, you know. That Uncharted totally stole all of its ideas from, obviously. I think it's Shadow of the Empire, and we should lock it in.
Okay. For a second there, I was like, was there a Boba Fett game? But I don't think there was, right?
There was, but that was GameCube, PS2.
Okay.
And it was Jango Fett, yeah, called Bounty Hunter.
All right. So yeah. So you seem.
Is this game Star Wars Shadow of the Empire?
This game is Star Wars Shadow of the Empire.
Yeah, that's the train level. That was the train level.
Where you have the boss that comes up.
This game rocks, dude. Yeah. It's a classic in my book, baby. But yes, it is not.
It is not universally beloved.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
As you can see here, like it had its jankiness.
It looks janky.
If you were like me and probably Kyle back in the day, this is what you got for Christmas. this is what you played, and you
This is
played a
what you
lot
played.
of this.
Yeah.
My brother and I put a lot of time into this game. We beat it. It's hard. There's parts of this
It's
game
so
that were
hard.
so
Dude, it's
hard.
scary too. There's a mission where like you're in the sewers and like this like monster keeps like dragging you under like with tentacles and
jeez.
stuff like that. Like
See how often that guy that he probably cut out a lot of his deaths. That boss kills you so many times in that boss
Yeah.
fight. But the tentacles.
Yeah, I did not even know
I
this
remember
game
this
at all.
whole area. Again, there are moments where you're like, there is some platforming because I remember that's what usually killed me, jumping from train to train and jumping. But yeah, not a platformer.
But it's not considered a platformer.
Nah,
right?
absolutely.
Right.
So there you go. That
like,
is.
Look at this. These wonky ass jetpack controls. You have to land on a narrow plateau. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, I would never in a million years have gotten here because I didn't even know. I had no recollection of this.
You got us there. You got the right questions in. You know,
We got there. That's all that matters.
You know, I just took. You know, all the pieces fell into play once.
You used the Force, Kyle. Ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unlike Dash Rendar, who, unless I'm misremembering the game, cannot use the Force.
Yeah, just budget Han Solo. That's all.
That's all he is. Dash Rendar. What a great name too.
With his ship, the Outrider.
That's right. You fight Boba Fett, I think, in this game too.
You and IG-88, and yeah, you fight a lot of big bounty hunters in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there you go. Well done, you guys. You got it in. If I did my tally correctly, took you 19, and then you got the game. So you didn't even do the full 20, but you got it.
No, we didn't need the full 20. We were burning
continues.
questions.
Didn't even need it.
The win streak continues, Kyle.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah, that was a good one. Classic game. Brings back a lot of memories.
I love that game. And it has all like the stings, like the musical stings from like the movies. They didn't like create music for this game. They just brought all the music from, you know, the movies into this game, and like that just made it extra memorable.
Yep. Yeah. So well done, you guys. You win. And hey, thank you all for watching and listening. Tune in for this week's episode. Make sure you check out our channel for other videos, let's plays, and things like that. All the other fun stuff that whatever we can figure out in our free time, because we do have jobs. This does not make us any money. We're just doing it for fun. Just to emphasize that if my kids are listening. So Christmas won't be any different this year. Okay? Relax. But thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye.